say my name.
Heisenberg.
You're goddamn right.
You're goddamn right.
Hello there, children. How's it going?
All right. Man, this is a show I didn't want to do, but you guys are forcing me to do. It's one of those shows. I had something completely different planned for today. You guys asked me, tasked me, took me to the task. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's writing about it. Everybody's watching out this loose guy. I don't even know who he is. This is the WrestleMania. Oh, God. Hear another British accent say Manosphere. I'm going to shoot myself. Wait, not that one. This one.
It's a guy where you broke all of your rules for.
I suppose when I was in my 20s, I broke more of my rules.
I feel like when I was in my early 20s,
Yo rompo todo. I break everything.
Fair enough. What about you, Kai?
Yes.
What did he do?
Oh, he was just over 6 foot, so he got away with a little bit.
Oh.
What about you, Sierra?
Yeah, when I was young. Yes, I have.
Basically, all of you ladies answer yes, that you were with men that you broke your rules for, which would imply that you were with men that you didn't break your rules for. So from a man's perspective, well, which man would I want to be with you? I want to be the guy that you break all your rules for, not the guy that you make rules for. And girls always compartmentalize men. They put them in certain compartments where it's the Chads that they'll break the rules for, but then there's the regular guys where it's like they got multiple rules. Oh, you didn't meet the height requirement? Yeah, I got more rules for you. Oh, you didn't meet the income requirement? I got extra rules for you. So it's like we don't want to find ourselves in that position, so we'll rather take the woman that experience less.
Goddamn right.
Justin Waller, and at the end of it, he goes, Justin Waller's he's a guy who's in one-way monogamy, a term they use a lot, which is the men can have sex with relationships with anyone they want while being married, or in a
fancy a shag,
single committed relationship with a woman who can't have sex with anyone else. They call it one-way monogamy. And his wife,
every time I talk to Troy Francis, I'm not homosexual, I'm British.
So she's fine with it. But he said, like at the end of our film, we had shot 2 or 3 days with him, and at the end he goes like, I know you're going to make me look like an asshole, or something like that. I know you're going to skin me alive in your shit.
Don't you love how he tries to come up, with the Louisiana accent? Dude, right there, I would beat the fuck out of this.
And that's fine. You do whatever you want with me because I've enjoyed it so much. Something like that.
Really?
Yeah. He was just saying, like, whatever you want to do is fine. I'm so relaxed about it.
I find that incredible.
Afterwards, I was like, what? That was confusing. But then I thought maybe that's like an alpha maneuver. Like, nothing you can do touches me. It didn't feel unfriendly. I think he was trying to be gracious, but then also it was slightly a power move.
No, that was definitely a power move. Just so you there, let me clarify for you, Lewis. That was definitely a power move.
Attracted to a man who believes he doesn't deserve her, that she's too good. A woman is attracted to that. My wife, I don't. I'm 57 years old. I don't know how I got her.
Okay. If that ever comes out of your mouth and you follow me, unfollow me right now. Seriously, I have failed you as a teacher.
And I'll say that I'll chase her for the rest of my life, because a woman desires to be chased, and she is chased by someone who's like, I don't know how I got you.
No, those are the guys. They don't want to be chased by low quality beta schmucks. They want to be desired by high value guys.
Right? I love being the one that when I walk through the mall, people look and go, how did he get her? Right?
Jesus Christ, man. And this is like every Christian dude I have ever known has exactly this story.
I love being that, and men love to be that. Men, you begin to act and treat her like, man, I don't know how I got you. Say that. Try and say that at least once a week. I don't know.
Yeah, watch her cringe. I don't know how I got you, because no other woman wants me.
Know how I got you. I don't know how I get to spend the rest of my life with you. I am so lucky to have you in my life. Let your kids know that. Let people when you're out know that. Let the world know that. There's a power about it
Yeah, there is most definitely a power about that.
And your wife is out and about and she hears those words in front of other people. That's why we get flowers. She loves to get flowers because, once again, I'm chasing you. I'm going after you. Be that man that even other men are upset at. That you, at the office, you stop by and got her some coffee.
You know what they're upset about is the guy who's jacked 6 feet tall and walks into the office and says, "Hey, what are we doing for lunch today?" That's the dude, okay? The guy who is not about self-deprecation, for the love of Christ. So many, like, I hate to say this, mostly evangelical Christian guys, this is their form of game.
Out of your way. Other wives are like, how come my husband doesn't do that? You send some flowers on different occasions. That you were the one that took her out on a special date. You made anniversaries, you made birthdays, you made Mother's Day, you made everything so special.
I'm pretty sure Sarah Stock would have probably tried to do exactly the same thing.
Men, don't ever lose the chase. Spend your life chasing her. And when you chase her, it just makes her more and more attracted to the man that is thriving and going after her.
Now, do you understand why men are leaving the church in droves? Now do you get it?
Guy in the space in that whole Manosphere community is Andrew Tate. And when we started on it, I thought, will probably...
Tate, everybody drink.
We might get Andrew Tate. And over the year of filming, I was messaging Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate quite a lot, back and forth. And he was like, maybe I'm going to do it if you pay me. And I said, we're not going to pay you. He said, well, why would I talk to you? You're not relevant anymore. And then he sent me they can do those Google graphs and they show how much you've been Googled over like 4 or 5 years. And he goes,
don't you love it? We're not going to pay you to be like, you wanted this dude. You really wanted this dude that desperately, but we're not going to pay you. Like that honestly, I think that speaks volumes, but I'll get back to that later.
And there was like I think it was a blue line. It was up here, quite high.
You know what that says? That says my exposure is worth more than anything I would pay you. That's what that is.
And then there's this tiny little flat red line at the bottom. It goes like, I'm blue, you're red. I was like barely registering. No one's been Googling me.
But that might be because they already know who you are.
Maybe.
I mean, it could be the opposite is true.
Maybe.
A lot of people are Googling who the fuck you are, mate.
At the very end, I don't know if you had, at the very end, through some weird glitch, my line went above his. So I screenshot and circled that and I said, I'm literally more relevant than you are. I felt pretty gangster.
That's good.
Right.
Ever been scrolling on your phone and then boom, those low IQ reality TV shows, those podcasts where the beta male hosts get in scream battles with those plastic, zero education, syphilis spreading whole bags.
Syphilis spreading? How dare you, young lady?
You get triggered, admit it, don't deny it, and then you start typing with your little furious fingers, giving your opinion, thinking it matters. And guess what happens?
Yeah, guess what happens? It's called engagement media. Guess what they're doing right now to your real Lauren? And I love you, Lauren. This is tough love right here. They're doing the same thing with you.
The algorithm turns on and it feeds you more of that crap. And now,
because that's what you want it to feed you.
Now your entire feed turns into a sewer of this garbage until you start actually believing that that is what most women are. Wrong. Dead wrong. Most women, the average woman, they're not on your screen. They're the
fat chicks that you see from the TSA part of the airport that you walk all the way to your gate. Put your phone away, look around. That's the average woman.
Cashier at Trader Joe's. They're the front desk girl at the gym. They're
the overweight girl who got herself back into good shape. Like before, that was the overweight girl. Remember her?
Making dough, okay? They're those type of women. These women, they don't have time or need or any maybe money for the filler and the plastic stuff you put in your face or the podcast drama. They're too busy living actual lives. You don't see them because the algorithm doesn't want you to see them.
No, you don't see them because they don't put out any content. That's why.
The machine, it wants you triggered. It wants you dumb. It wants you hating women. And it wants you isolated, bitter, and scrolling forever.
Okay. The algorithm doesn't want you I don't know if you know this. The algorithm is not actually a person. It is not actually an individual. It is not some like hive mind collective Illuminati thing. It is just giving you its input output. That's what it is. There's no sinister personality behind it.
Those low IQ clips that you see, that is all they show you on purpose. So just wake the heck up. Stop letting it program your brain with fake reality. Stop giving your energy to dumb shows with dumb guests and dumb hosts.
And that's exactly what they want.
Most women are not like that. You are just literally being spoon-fed the worst 0.0001%. So you give up and you stay angry. So reject that feed. Go outside. Be a man and wake up.
Why don't you just say touch grass? You can just stop right there. I gotta come. I'm gonna leave that in the loop here because I'm gonna come back to that.
Quote Myron Gaines. One of the main people I speak to is a guy called Myron Gaines. Are you familiar with him?
Yes.
So he's part of a double act called Fresh and Fit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Chris Williamson is familiar with Myron Gaines. Sorry, can you repeat that, Chris? Yeah, you're familiar with Myron Gaines.
Podcast in Miami. Their content is very extreme. And Myron Gaines wrote a book called Why Women Deserve Less. His whole message is that women have been pampered and they are over entitled, and as men we need to recognize that and give them less. And
did you read it? Did you read the book, Lewis? I'm guessing not.
Everything will go more smoothly. So his message would be, men can hack the game of life. I can teach you the cheat codes of life. A lot of it based on old PUA, pickup artistry, supposed hacks, negging women, recognizing that women are, in their words or in their view, status obsessed. And then you can build the life that you would like and would deserve by...
Notice all that jump cuts in this? Like, this is like, I mean, I've seen less jump cuts on a Pearl Davis video.
Employing his techniques. I mean, I found it so inimical to the way I think about it. I mean, I was raised by a feminist mum in South.
This is like Max Headroom. Remember Max Headroom from the 80s? This is Max Headroom.
London, in a world where my mum was a working mum. I grew up in the 70s in South London. So these ideas are so alien to me. I had to kind of get my head around them. I think a lot of it seems to be based on his interactions with cam girls and OnlyFans models. When he's talking about women, he only really seems to be talking about Instagram models and women who do a lot of social media. That gets you some way down to understanding like what his mindset is.
Okay, you know what? Put me in real quick because I need to read something to you really quickly here. So, hi, how are you? I have to jump in on this one as fast as I can because no Lewis and no Lauren and no all the rest of you fuckwits who seem to think and keep repeating the bullshit over and over and over again that shows like Fresh and Fit, shows like whatever podcast, shows like my own, like Access Vegas, that we handpick, we cherry pick these girls to be the dumbest, most vapid, most plastic, most syphilis laden women we can possibly get. Guess what? We keep records. We keep very meticulous records, and I'm going to read. I specifically hit up Big Mo for the most recent numbers of that they collect on all these girls. Now, remember, Fresh and Fit's been going for four and a half, almost 5 years now. Okay, so these are the numbers I'm reading from a text that Mo just sent me a little while ago. Okay, he says Fresh and Fit podcast has interviewed 4,017 female guests, ages 18 to 60. Okay, from 48 U.S. states, 105 different countries, 550 jobs, not just OnlyFans, not just fucking hookers and strippers and drug dealers and everything else. 550 different jobs. Got it? Titles include unemployment and retirement. There are 485 Frank Castles, meaning I kicked those chicks off. Now, these are the new totals here. New totals as of today. There are, let's see, with some repeats, there have been 5,026 women that have gone on Fresh and Fit. You are going to tell me that you know better than these shows? Did you even ask about those demographics? Because they keep those demographics. Did you even think that they might keep those demographics? No, you fucking didn't. Do you think that when we have women on Access Vegas, do you think that they are all just big titty? I mean, a lot of them are. Let's be honest. But we have had 2 Miss Nevadas on there. We have had real estate agents. We have had insurance adjusters. We have had women from as old or as young as 21, up to, I'm trying to think, 49, 50, some like mid 50s, I believe is where we're at. We have women who are photographers. We have women who are OnlyFans girls. Yes. We have women who are just simply models. We have commercial porn stars. Yes, absolutely we do. If you want normal chicks, fine. Send them our way. We will put on whoever wants to be on the goddamn show, okay? But that's what gets eyes on the screen. Those are the chicks who want to have that conversation. That's the point. It's not about getting dumb, vapid, low IQ chicks on the show with the express intent of kicking them off the show and making them look as stupid as possible. I understand why people would think that if all they ever saw was clip after clip after clip after clip. You don't know what you're talking about, so shut the fuck up. That's it. That's the tweet. That's the message. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. And until you do, and until you have some experience with this, and until you have some comprehensive knowledge of all this stuff that's going on here, get the fuck out. Get her. Get out now before you make a further embarrassment of yourselves. Got it? Good. Let's move on to this next guy here.
Thousands of boys leaving a home without a father, going to school without any male teachers. They're learning things in schools that I find quite upsetting, where I think 42% of boys are being taught that men are a problem to society. About 1 in 4 schools are teaching kids about so-called toxic masculinity. They go home and they sort of turn on the TV, and there's like an army now of sort of deadbeat, oafish sitcom dads. One stat that I read recently was that as of 2000, 50% of sitcom dads are sort of shown as oafs and clowns and incompetent.
I've seen that.
And
what fucking sitcoms? When is this? What's the most recent sitcom? Is there like a funny sitcom that people are watching that I'm unaware of right now? What is a recent sitcom? This is in the 80s and 90s. Yes, we're talking about, in some cases, 30 and 40 fucking years ago.
In the 80s, it was 18%, and in the 90s, it was 31%. So gone are the days of Mr. Rogers. You've got to sort of contextualize things.
I'm not sure Mr. Rogers would be my model for masculinity, but
experience of these boys, and then they go onto social media, and they're inundated with toxic this and privileged that and fragile masculinity, affixing these pejorative terms to men. And then they arrive at the so-called Manosphere, and here they find some people that are talking positively about men and boys, although, as you identified, for their own self-interests. I don't think they're not philanthropists. They don't really care about men and boys. They just want to fill their pockets with more cash. And it's totally unsurprising that boys gravitate towards them, because who else is talking positively about men and boys?
Absolutely no one is. That's just the point. So he made some good points. I will have a rebuttal for this guy in just a moment, and here we go.
Generally, seeing less risk-taking behavior from Gen Z. They are getting their licenses far later, if at all. They are losing their virginity much later, if at all, which in some ways is great. Fewer kids dying in car crashes and people being responsible. But I just feel like people are missing out on the experience to make mistakes as a young person. When I think back to my college experience, if there had been cameras that have high quality video on them at all times, I would have lived a very different college experience. There's this entire culture of people being very safe, and part of dating, part of mating is making mistakes, taking risks, and failing.
Yeah. Maybe you would have put the fork down if the video cameras have been on. All right, this is the last one. You haven't seen this one yet, but this is funny as fuck.
I brought 30 of the dumbest Instagram influencers in the world to Dubai. But instead of chocolate, we have a very different surprise for them.
Ladies, your new challenge. Escape Dubai.
There you go. Oh, I had to end with something funny because if I didn't, I was going to cry today. Oh, geez, man. Here, put me back in. There we go. Am I in? There we go. Escape from Divine. I would watch that. I would totally watch the fuck out of that, man. Yes, that's AI. Okay, now I'm going to have to register that with YouTube, by the way. Oh, I got Access Vegas got demonetized off of YouTube, just letting you know. That autofocus is fucking up. Yeah.
We go fix it.
But yeah, we did. And it's before you all think that it's some grand conspiracy, it's not. It's because we were simulcasting, and the algorithm picked up on the fact that we were rebroadcasting or replaying content from another channel, which is my channel and Mike's channel too. So we were simulcasting to Mike's, my own, and the Access Vegas channel. And for whatever reason, the algorithm picked it up as reusing, I guess, already published content. Well, the thing is they don't know that we were simulcasting. So now I have to create a 5-minute video and say, this is what we were doing. Please reinstate me. That's all it's going to take. I have 100% total confidence that YouTube is going to be fair and judicious about the whole thing, right? They're not. It's not the content. It's the reusing of the content, which also brings me to the fact that we really just need to simply broadcast straight to the Access Vegas channel and leave it at that and call it good, because I think we really need to kind of do those things right now. So anyway, yes, the Zionists are destabilizing my camera. Anybody seen any good documentaries lately? Yeah, so I talked about this. I'm just going to jump right in. Mike Sartain's going to join me here in probably about another half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. I got some very interesting asides or some things to talk about here real fast. But I want to, before I get started, I want to, I usually do announcements, but I think I'm just going to jump right into this one. This was a comment that I saw, and I want to say it was on, it was the Chris Williamson, by the way, had just dropped an interview with Louis Theroux, who is the director guy, who's the main dude, I guess, host of the new Netflix series, or Netflix documentary, I should say, Inside the Manosphere, right? It's interesting how 1 year ago, we were talking about adolescence. 1 year later, we're talking about this. Is it a coincidence? No, it fucking isn't. And I'll tell you why it's not. Let's start with this first. This was a comment that I picked up on from the Chris Williamson / Louis Theroux interview, such as it was. Okay, this is a guy, and I reached out to this guy. He hasn't got back to me yet, but like I'm really curious to know what this guy's deal is. But this is what he tweeted out there, or put out there on the and this was in the comment section there. He said, "I used to be a big fan of Louis Theroux's documentaries until I worked with his production company Mindhouse on a Passport Bros documentary." I didn't even know there was a Passport Bros. My experience was they must have given up on it. I wonder if they like started it out and they go, you know what, this is going nowhere. My experience was that the narrative felt largely predetermined before filming. Over several weeks, there was a clear effort to guide the situations towards specific outcomes that would fit the story they wanted to tell. 2 weeks later, or 2 weeks turned into 45 minutes. And I wanted to point that out here from the jump here, is that I don't know how long they spent shooting this documentary, but it was whittled down to what, a 90 whole minutes. Okay. So what surprised me the most was the contributor agreement, which includes a very strict gag clause that prevents participants from publicly defending themselves once the documentary airs. I'm currently involved in a legal dispute related to the production, so I'll leave it at that for now. But the behind-the-scenes process was very different from the neutral journalism I originally believed these documentaries represented. I am more than willing to validate my story with any journalist or lawyer interested. I am interested, bro. I am way interested. I would love to have you come on. Now, I just want to point out here from the jump, I was never approached. I never got an email. Nobody asked me to be on this whatsoever. I do have another guy who's a friend of mine, Logan Duong, who was actually asked by Louis Theroux and their team to be a part of this. And I'm like, why the fuck? Like I love Logan. I love it. Logan's going to come out and tell me a story real quick here in a little while too. But why was the people that they went for HS Tiki-Taki, Sneeko of all fucking people? Justin Waller, I can sort of understand. But even Jay has been like very kind of, he wants, if anything, he's certainly red pill adjacent. I wouldn't say he wants to be associated with the Manosphere, but it's Netflix. Myron Gaines, I get it. I 100% understand why they would go after Myron. Myron is he's the first guy that they want to go for. He's public enemy number one. They wanted to go after. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. They wanted to go after Tate. And I showed you that one clip where he was talking about how they really wanted Tate. Tate wanted him to pay him and everything else. And it's like, of course they do. Like, what it's ludicrous for Tate not to say, what are you going to pay me? Because he knows goddamn, how much money do you think Louis Theroux is making off of this? Off of a successful, and everybody's fucking talking about it all last week. It dropped, I want to say Wednesday, right? Everyone is fucking talking about it. I presume it's going to be a feather in his cap for sure. How much money is he making off this? What is his take on this? I would love to know what the net grow, whatever it is. I don't know how you would. I don't know really how you would measure that because it's a subscription service, right? But I mean, viewership versus like how much did Netflix pay, or how much did for distribution rights, I guess is what it would be. Because usually what happens is a documentary guy goes out and makes a film and says, hey, and then he goes and chops it. He goes to Hulu or Netflix or wherever he wants to put it, right? Netflix, of course, picked up on it because anything anti-Manosphere right now is big bucks. Anything that says just put the name, just put the word Manosphere in front of something, and it's a successful Atlantic article. It's a successful, EV magazine article, right? All you got to do is just slap Manosphere on it, and people will want to talk about it because people want to talk shit, and they don't know what they're talking shit about. They are, as I've said before, they are confident in their ignorance. This is why I don't get approached for these things, because I would eviscerate them. I would dismantle them piece by piece. You would not get what you wanted out of me. That's the same thing that happened on Dr. Phil, man. It's like when I went on Dr. Phil, I knew what they wanted. They wanted Tate. That's the same thing with Louis Theroux. He wanted Tate. That's why he kept hitting him up and saying, hey, he's saying, I'm more popular than you. And they got this dick measuring contest, right? Okay, whatever. But the thing is you wanted Tate. And you couldn't get Tate. So who did you get? You got HS Tiki Taki. That's who you fucking got. Like HS Tiki Taki has arrived 45? He was just born. He's Jeremy Clarkson would call him a fetus. HS Tiki Taki is a fucking fetus in the Manosphere. Okay, he is a non-player. Sneeko is a non-fucking player. Hell, even Myron is. Myron was part of Rule Zero. At the very least, he has some background in the Manosphere, right? And I'm gonna. I probably should have started with this. I'm going to give you the standard caveat here, just to get things out of the way. Okay, so what's going to happen? Because I'm doing this fucking show, and I'm going to have Mike here in just a minute. We're going to talk about this a bit. What's going to happen right now? And let me just in before all this bullshit. The first thing you're going to say is, "Oh, you're irrelevant. You're an old man, Rollo. They don't want to talk to you." No, they did. They did want to talk to me. They just wouldn't talk to me. They want if they're approaching. And by the way, they did approach Andrew Wilson. They did approach Logan Duong. Okay, who's going to come in here and tell you about it? They did approach those guys. They did hit those guys up. Did they hit up Pearl? I don't know. I would think they would have loved to have Pearl on the show. She would have been probably the first one to jump up and dance a hula for him. But that didn't happen. No, you got HS Tiki Taki instead. You got Sneeko instead. You got Jay Waller, who I as I said, close personal friend, and I'm not. This anything I say today is not meant as a flame. It's not meant as like, oh, shots fired, Rollo. Fuck off with that, okay? But the first thing anybody's going to say is going to say, well, I guess you just weren't relevant enough. Okay. And then what? Right? How many books do you have? How many books do these guys have? Who has had the most consistent voice in this space for the last 22 fucking years, 23 fucking years? Name one. Name one dude. Am I going to pat myself on the back? Am I going to gloss myself? You goddamn right I am for right now. Just for this one brief shining moment. Who has been doing this longer? Who interviewed Andrew Tate before anyone else, anyone on this fucking planet, as far as the Manosphere is concerned? Who interviewed him? Not Myron Gaines, not any of these other guys. This guy. I'm the dude that interviewed Andrew Tate. I'm not saying that was a great interview. I'm not saying I was just me seeing what was going on. He wanted to get into the Manosphere. It was during the 21 convention years, and everybody wanted to pick up after that. Everybody was okay with that. I've known the dude longer. I know what he's about. I know what the whole thing. I know where the bodies are buried. People always ask me, well, what's your deal with Andrew Tate? You know what my deal with Andrew Tate is? It's a mutual non-aggression pact. That's what it is. That's basically my arrangement with Andrew. Like, I leave him the fuck alone, and he leaves me the fuck alone, because I know where his fucking bodies are buried, and I don't want to fucking shake that fucking hornet's nest. Right? But guess who does? This guy does. And they wanted him. And you know who else wanted him? The producers for Dr. Phil. They wanted him. That was the first thing out of their mouths. Do you think you can get Andrew to come on? No, I don't think at all. He's not gonna set foot in the United States. This was like in September of like 2022. I knew damn well he was gonna say no. And then they said, well, do you think you could get him? Do you think you can get him to come on a Skype call live on TV during the show? I'm like, I'll ask. I still have the Twitter or the text exchange from when I asked him. He said no, because he was going through. If you remember, he just converted to Islam back then. He was going to pointing towards Mecca and praying at that time, and he wouldn't do it. And he was just, I don't know if he was laying low or what the hell the thing was, but he wouldn't do it. And so I was the understudy for Andrew Tate they really wanted Tate. And how did I know that? Because they used clip after clip after clip, much in the same way that Louis Theroux is right now. That's all this is. So what's going to happen as a result of this inside the Manosphere? Everybody's coming out of the woodwork right now. All the fucking roaches come back into the kitchen, man. It's feeding time is what it is. So you got the TradCon guys, the mighty men of God guys, the pinnacle of manhood guys who are just like, oh, these guys hate women, and let me tell you why you should be following me and my program and evangelical Christianity and all this other shit. Those guys jump right on it, just like everybody else, just like all the feminists jump on it, like everybody else jumps on it. I was talking to Kyle here before the show, and I said, right now people care about it. Nobody's going to give two shits about this in a week. So that's why I'm getting on this right now. Nobody's going to care about this, but I'm going to point out to you why you should fucking care about this. Because these are the same people who are, remember, Kyle, do you remember that there's two names that just escaped me that were mentioned in Kamala Harris's biography or whatever the fuck it was about why she lost the presidential election in 2024. Do you remember what those names were? Oh, that's right. Andrew Tate and Myron Gaines, the two people that they wanted to pillory, the two people they wanted to make ridiculous in this documentary. They did good on Tate. At least he didn't fucking fall for this bullshit. And what did they do? Selective editing and everything else. And the thing is I can't just lay it all at Louis Theroux's feet, right? Myron and, HS TikTok, I don't know what the fuck his deal is, but Sneeko, I would have expected to do this. Netflix? Sure, I'm in. That's all you have to say. That's all you had to do. Oh, Netflix? Great, I'll do it. Doesn't matter how. I think a lot of people still have this misunderstanding, right? They think that there's no such thing as bad press. Fuck you. There is such thing as bad press, especially in the internet age, especially now. Just ask Andrew Wilson every time somebody brings up him not being able to open a fucking jar of olives. Just ask him if there's anything such as called the bad press, right? Ask him if there's anything that's like people want to come out and hit me up, or don't you the guy that said vasectomy? Ask me that if there's anything called bad press. There most definitely is. And they will, and your bad press is their good press. That's exactly what's happening. That was the operative in doing this in the first place. So I can't blame it all on Louis. They knew what they were getting into. I knew what I was getting into when I went on Dr. Phil. People said, "Oh, Rollo, I think this is a bad move for you." And I knew I knew that there was a possibility. I knew I was going to get ambushed anyways. I just didn't know how I was going to get ambushed. So I was like trying to run through scenarios all the way up to the morning of when I had to go to the actual studio. And everything is controlled. You think a feature film documentary is controlled? Try doing commercial television on Dr. Phil in front of a huge national audience. All of that is controlled down to the 3x5 cue cards they give to everybody in the audience to read at a particular time when the time comes up in that little red digital board as to what time it is, right? They know exactly, hey, hand them the mic. That's not random. That's not, hey, I put my hand up first. No, everything is stage managed down to the last thing. If that's the case, and you know this guy's reputation is essentially just parodying you, you know what you're getting into. And I also want to point out one more thing here as well is what Rollo was the name of the kid? That was Ben, by the way. Yes, Ben. Thank you very much. Thank you for bringing that up because I was going to segue into that later on. So here's the thing. Yeah, you're right. Okay, but here's the thing. The Manosphere says a lot of truth about most of these guys are big clowns. Tate, Snegro, Tiki Taki, Zerko. And yeah, okay, so, but are they, is that Manosphere? Like, is that Manosphere in the sense, and we need to really sort of drill down here, because you can say, these are the guys that your children are watching and are being influenced by, and they're going to turn into little mini versions of Andrew Tate. They're going to turn into little mini versions of mini-me versions of Myron Gaines. That's what they're worried about. Do you think that those guys are like, oh, they're looking up to these guys? No, they're not fucking looking up to these guys. There's no one for them to look up to. That's just the point. If anything, that's the operative behind all of this. The reason why the BBC or whoever the fuck, naturally this comes out of Britain, obviously, who is spending $20 million to re-educate their children so they don't become mini-me versions of Andrew Tate, the boogeyman Andrew Tate. They're willing to spend that kind of money on it. But I'll tell you right now, what's happening is they're trying to set the stage for the midterm elections here in the United States. That's what's going on. Who are the names that were in Kamala Harris's book? Andrew Tate, Myron Gaines. Who do we go after? Who do we get first? Those guys, those motherfuckers. That's who they go after, because that's who they think is serious. What were they saying right after Trump came into office? They're like, we need to find our own version of Joe Rogan. We need to find our own Jordan Peterson. We need to find our own Theo Vaughn. We need to get a left version of that. And barring finding, they can't do that because they have no personality. And leftists, wokesy fuckwits don't have any, all they have is point and sputter. And that's exactly what Louis Theroux is. It's nothing but point and sputter. Oh, give the narcissist enough rope. No, you're not giving them enough rope. You're editing those scenes so it looks like you gave them enough rope. And I also, on that same topic, the same point that Myron likes to make and the rest of these guys like to make, they say, well, don't worry, guys. We recorded this on a GoPro, and now we have the secret record. We didn't tell them we were recording, and so we're going to show you the hour and 20 minutes of what they didn't show you on the 2-minute clip that they did use. Guess what? Damage is fucking done, man. They're not going to remember the hour and 20 minutes where you break down everything that happened and how they fucked you around and everything. Your own audience isn't going to remember that, and anybody else who's going to give you shit in the future isn't going to remember that. You know what they're going to remember? They're going to remember you holding a fucking dog, a little poodle, and looking like you've been bitch slapped by Angie. That's what they're going to remember. Now, I know that that's not the way it went down, and I know that they edited that so you would look the worst that you possibly can. They did so because your name was mentioned in Kamala Harris's fucking book. That's why they did that. And no amount of secret fucking Zoom or GoPro cameras or whatever, however you record it, no amount of that is going to make any difference. It's like when a journalist or when somebody posts some sort of fallacious news, like fake news, right? And like, oh, sorry, that was inaccurate, and they have to post a retraction to that story.
Nobody uses retraction.
You like the original story that was bullshit, the bullshit story. It placed to 10 million people, and the retraction pays to 650 people. That's it. Who watched it? Damage done. It doesn't matter whether you have that fucking that live cam on or not. And people said the same thing to us when we were in here and we were doing the CBS interview. Me and Mike were doing we invited them in. We said, hey, come and check out what we do. And I think we were pretty measured the whole time. They didn't even use anything from that. They sat here for 2.5 hours and they used just B-roll from that. There was nothing. They didn't interview anybody. They didn't talk to anybody. They just used it as B-roll. And they didn't even use that much, right? Because what was to use? Nothing. And we were live streaming when we did. So unless you're live streaming when Louis Theroux is trying to fucking school you and clown you, you got no fucking leg to stand on. Because his signal is going to outperform, is going to out amplify your signal. Because all it's going to be down to is that little one. What would people rather watch? A 45-second buzz clip of you getting schooled and clowned? That's what they want. Or watch an hour and a half of you saying, well, this is really what went on because I have the secret camera right here. And people, your diehards are going to love every minute of that, but it's not going to change the impression it's not going to reverse the damage that was done. And again, I'm saying this out of love because everybody knows I love me some Myron and I love me Fresh and I love all the rest of these guys, man. Justin Waller is a close personal friend of mine, man. We send baby pictures back to each other in Christmas time and Thanksgiving, for fuck's sake. I'm just saying, it's just like, you knew what you're fucking getting into. So when the damage comes and when it's time to pay the fucking toll, yeah, you can back it up and say these guys are full of shit and nobody's going to care about it. But whether or not you recorded it in secret is not really going to play nearly as well as the original message that's playing it. That's why they get out ahead of you. That's why they drop it first before you drop it. That's why you have to sign NDAs.
They set the precedent.
Lord knows I had to. You don't think I would have been talking shit about Dr. Phil and my whole experience with that? I could do it now. I could now that the show's over, I can tell you exactly what happened on Dr. Phil with me and all the marching us out to the fucking alley after the show and keeping us away from everybody else. I can tell you exactly what they did. But you know what? You don't care. You fucking care. I don't fucking care. Nobody cares. Because it's done. It's over. Oh, that Rollo, he just keeps talking about Dr. Phil all the time. It was pretty important to me at the time, but it's not important to anybody else. So that's why I was going to say is you have to be careful of who you get into bed with. I was also wanting to point out that there is a great documentary series that's out that me and Mike participated in, and it's called Lonely Fans. And it is a much more constructive, much more substantive documentary than this piece of shit. No one's looking at it. It describes the dangers, the societal dangers, the economic dangers, the psychological dangers, all of the downside and all of the seductiveness and immersiveness of OnlyFans. Netflix. No, we'll pass. Thanks. We're going to go with Inside the Manosphere instead. It would have been a much better. It's a series, for fuck's sake. It's not 90 minutes. It's I think it's 5 different episodes, right? So they'll pass on that, but they want something that's going to kick guys in the nuts. That's what they want. Yeah. Well, finally, these guys get their comeuppance. That's all it really boils down to. Let me jump on these because everybody's talking about these. Rollo, he is used to Myron Gaines. I'm used to Myron Gaines. It's a shame that none of these documentaries want to acknowledge you or your work. I don't understand why. I absolutely understand why, because I'm not in their ecosystem. And I would sit there and describe in great detail what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about fuck those bitches and hoes. I've been married for 30 years. I'm not anti-marriage. I'm anti the way we do it now. I've had that. How many times have I had that discussion with you guys? How many times have I had that discussion with Mike or anybody else for that matter? Why? I don't understand why Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles don't talk to you because you've got it going on. I'm married longer than all these guys, right? No, don't want to talk to me because I'm not crazy. I'm not foaming at the fucking mouth. Every last one of these dudes, including Tate, has to some degree at some point along the way read my book, been exposed to my material, and have used it and have incorporated it and made iterations of it within their own material. I'm not saying I am fully responsible for their successes or anything like that. I'm just saying that at some point along the way, my work influenced their work. Why am I not getting that call? Because I would fuck up their narrative. They would, you know what they would do? They would shoot 2 hours of me with Louis Theroux, and they would use none of it. because none of it would fit the narrative that they already had pre-established before they went in on this thing. That's why. So with that in mind, I also want to point out this is like everybody who's piling on right now, trying to brand build on this. I'm taking names, man. I will remember your fucking names while you are piling on this, trying to say, well, a real man, the real men, those accounts right now, they're all piling on because they can, because it's safe, because they're behind a fucking screen, because they won't even fucking name names, man. They won't even mention Myron's name. They don't even know my name. They don't know Roosh. They don't know Royce. They don't know Rollo. They don't know Dalrock. They don't know shit. They don't know fucking Ryan Stone. They don't know Richard Cooper. They don't know any of these. Hell, they don't even know Joker or Aaron Clary or fucking even CGA, right? They don't know. I would be surprised if they remembered Kevin Samuels. None of them know any other name except for Andrew Tate, because that's the boogeyman. Myron happens to belong there because they really want, Myron's probably second in command, right? He was the only other name in the book. So they go after him. It wasn't about the Manosphere. It was about schooling those motherfuckers and making it look ridiculous. So why is that so fucking important? Like I talked to Mike, and Mike kind of has to talk me off the ledge sometimes about this kind of shit, because he's like, no one's going to care. No one cares about this stuff. And I'm like, well, the problem is when that becomes pervasive, when the lie keeps getting repeated, when the bullshit keeps getting repeated, when you have to hear fucking English limey fuckwits talk about, I think it was misogyny, and they're deciding what misogyny is and what misogyny isn't, which I've already talked about. I'm going to talk about when Mike gets here. I've got the new outline of what is misogynistic and what isn't, and I think I played this on the last show. But remember, this is the UK that's deciding all of this. The UK has decided that they are going to teach their young boys how to respect women. Right? You need to be respectful. And my first question is, what form of respect are you going to teach them? Are you going to teach them the merit-based version of respect, or are you going to teach them the everybody deserves respect and courtesy and kindness? They're women. They get respect no matter what. But men, our respect is performative. Our respect, what makes you respectable? What have you done? What have you achieved? Man the fuck up. Do better. That's what your respect is based on. How come we're not holding women to that same definition of respect? I'll tell you why. Because we live in a gynocentric social order, and it works better. It works for women. There's one form of respect, and for men, there's another form of respect. That's how it goes down. It's not like, what are women doing? Because men must become, and women are. There you go. There's a Manosphere idiom for you. There's a Manosphere platitude. Men must become, and women just are. People, they just lose their fucking minds if I say that. Oh, I can't believe I'm hearing this. I was raised by a feminist mother, and now I know what I'm looking for. And these guys, they're the face of the fucking enemy. They just want a face of the fucking enemy. Again, Andrew Tate is Osama bin Laden to everyone in the UK. They won't go and get him out of the hills of Tora Bora. God Emperor Rollo, what are your thoughts on Jack Donovan in the Manosphere? I like Jack. I've always liked Jack. I've known Jack since the 21 convention days. Just full transparency here. Jack was homosexual and has then become heterosexual. And I don't know what his shtick is right now, but I as far as like his understanding, his philosophy on masculinity and manhood, if you've ever read The Way of Men or Becoming a Barbarian, those are probably his two best books, I think. Jack Donovan's great. And as far as I'm concerned, still definitely part of the Manosphere. So, although he might say he's not. Hey, there we go. Look at this. Got a new subscriber. Thank you for subscribing, young man. Welcome to the shit show. If Schadenfreude is an entry drug to sadism, then is simping an entry drug to suicidal empathy? Okay, Kyle, I need you to go do this. Go get me the definition of Schadenfreude. Okay, I know what it is, but I want to read it so that everybody knows what it is. Schadenfreude, meaning, definition, either one's fine. Read that out for me, will you?
Noun, pleasure derived by someone from another person's misfortune.
Exactly. And that's pretty much the entire operative of Louis Theroux. Every fucking documentary he does is Schadenfreude. That's what it is. Oh, it's so cringe. That's Schadenfreude. You're laughing and you're getting off on the experience of watching somebody get their comeuppance, right? Or getting held accountable or whatever else the fuck it is, right? Schadenfreude, an entryway drug to sadism. I don't know, sexual sadism? Is simping suicidal empathy? Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, okay, so what you're doing is you're asking me to like saying, are these two connected and are they logical extremes? Yeah, you could make a case that they are, for sure. Remember, what's simping? Somebody give me a definition of simping, because we've already kind of thrown out the idea that simping is an unequal exchange of value. Okay. Guess what? You're a simp. I'm a simp. Kyle's a simp. Mike's a simp. Yeah. Everybody's a fucking simp, because there's no way on planet Earth that there can ever be an equal exchange of value between a man who will die for women. There is no way. So simp. If that's the definition of a simp, then yeah, I guess you're simp. So can that lead to suicidal empathy? Yeah, it can. You know what? How it manifests? You throwing your body in front of a woman in a live shooting event, or a live shooter incident, and taking a bullet for the woman you don't even know. Yes, it can. Actually, you're right. 100%, dude. I agree. I changed my mind. Could you please explain resigning ourselves to inaction because biological determinism is a form of sedation? So resigning yourself to inaction is something I actually talk about in my book Reignite, which is available on Amazon. Go get it today. If you haven't, why haven't you? So in that book, there's a very long section about sedation, and how sedation is not just about jerking off to porn. It's not just about playing World of Warcraft. It's not just about playing. It's not just about prescription opiates. It's not just about that. It's also about your mindset. It's also your sedation can be your ideology. Your sedation, like whatever holds you back, whatever keeps you from performing action. Sometimes it's a victimhood mentality. You say, woe is me. The world happens to me. I don't happen to the world. That can be a form of sedation because you just give up, right? Black pill doomerism is most definitely a form of sedation, or it's a result of a sedation, right? So if you're resigning yourselves to an action because of biological, determinism, meaning like I'm just going to stretch it here and say, if a guy is fat, ugly, he's short, he's biologically lost the biological evolutionary lottery, and he just slips into this, his fantasy world, his escape world is better than his shitty life. Yeah, it can most certainly, lead. One can and does lead to the other. Last week I told you I lost my creative director job of 4 years. I already found another one with a raise. Nice. Yeah, there you go. Let's go, Tomasi men. Great. Let's go, cultists. All right. Give me the high sign. This is the high sign.
Wait, we're starting a cult?
Yeah, we're starting a cult. Yes, yeah. Everybody, we're starting a cult. Everybody's call me Red Pill Jesus for nothing. I already found another with a raise. Excellent. I start the week of our birthday, Rollo. Our birthday. So I would presume that's April 2nd. Buy me lots of Warhammer stuff. The focus of the Manosphere is not the focus of Manosphere, but not Drew Affalo types. Okay, thanks. Oh, did you want that? Hold on.
Pot agreed.
Yeah. Wait, this is not her.
Hey y'all.
Where did I put? I have Affalo on there somewhere.
I think we have him in the files.
No, I don't have her. I guess I don't have her live. Oh well. Okay, my bad. Drew Affalo. God. Yeah, why didn't you? I'm anxiously waiting for the Femisphere documentary. I'll be waiting a long time. Yes. Came home from work on Friday, and my chick was watching the documentary. She said Myron was a woman hater, and I had to just tell her it was kayfabe. I still haven't watched the Lewis doc. Yeah. I think that I said this on Access Vegas when we first were talking about it, and I said this yesterday. I actually did a show yesterday on Rule Zero, which is sort of like a preview of what I was going to get into today. But if you look at the trailer, I like to do this. Maybe I'm just crazy and stupid like this, but like what I like to do is I watch a trailer of whatever I think is going to be like Adolescence. I watch a trailer for that, and then I'll watch the series, and then I'll go back and I'll watch the trailer again because I want to see what the directors and the producers and the writers and everybody thought were the highlights. Yep. That if you don't even watch this, we want you to get these little memes, these little snippets in your head, right? And if you go back and you look at the trailer, one of the first things they led with, which I almost set the tone for the whole tiki-taki thing, right, was HS Tiki-Taki started talking to the camera.
Yeah.
And he's like, who are you talking to? You know, oh, I'm talking to the camera. Well, no, this is a documentary. You're supposed to talk to me. Oh, what a dumbass. He's supposed to talk to, like, you're supposed to laugh at him. You're supposed to say he's vapid and he's full of himself. And he's so self-important that he starts talking to the camera instead of the guy he's supposed to be talking to. Yep. Guess what, Louis Theroux? You're talking to a different generation of guys. You're talking to guys who are used to engagement media. I talk to the camera right now. Oh, he talks to the camera. I'm talking to the camera because this is engagement media. I'm talking to the people that are in the chat. He's the dinosaur, not you. Not Tiki-Taki anyways. He's talking to the camera because that's where his audience is. You're not his audience. Are you fucking kidding me? You're just asking some questions. The questions that he thinks that his audience wants to hear from you. And that's really his whole MO. His whole MO is just to let you embarrass yourself, right? To ramble on long enough. You can be as succinct and you can be as comprehensive and as rational and as well-adjusted, as psychologically well-adjusted human being as you possibly can. And guess what? Somewhere in that 2-hour interview, they're going to pull out 5 minutes of you sounding a little bit off. Or it's going to be like, oh, can anybody believe this is really what's going on? That he has that deadpan look. Like he's like, like even in the this right here, where does it go? Even in the thumbnail, right? That's his look. That's his look right there. The look is, I'm normal. He's not normal.
This is
wow. This is weird. I feel weird. I'm around these guys. You're normal and I'm normal, but these guys aren't. Yikes. That's that fucking look. And by the way, doing a little homework on Louis Theroux, that's every fucking documentary the guy has ever done. Is that deadpan kind of like, he's like Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
He's like Mr. Bean does fucking documentaries, right? Like he's a stranger in a strange land and he doesn't know how things are done here. Like, bitch, how long did it take you to produce this? You know what you were getting into. Yes, that is his gimmick. He's not a good fucking documentarian. He doesn't have the same. I forget the guy who does hardcore history. What is that guy's name? I always listen to his podcast. I forget his name. Who's the guy that does hardcore history? Is it Dan something?
Dan Carlin.
Dan Carlin. God, I got Dan right. Dan Carlin. Dan Carlin does fucking great fucking documentaries, and they're all most of them are audio. You want to learn something about history? Listen to Dan fucking Carlin, man. Right? But this is entertainment. This guy, like Louis Theroux, is no better. He's essentially just an actor, just like the other guys that are on there are actors too. Or at least he's turning them into actors. Because that's what everybody is saying. Well, these guys don't actually believe it. It's all kayfabe. It's all professional wrestling. If that's the case, he's one of those professional wrestlers too. I don't know what's going on. It's like Beaker from the fucking Muppets. I don't know what's going on. That's what it is. Dead ass serious. And that's his shtick. And by the way, that's classic British humor. It is. Benny Hill and fucking, Mr. Bean and fucking Monty Python. That's classic fucking British humor. I know because I like Monty Python. I like that shit. And Blackadder goes for. I'm a nerd. I get it. But still, I understand. I can appreciate British humor. But that's what that boils down to. That's why it plays with the audience. And they just go, I can't believe these strong masculine guys aren't really strong and masculine, and their wives and their husbands and their girlfriends or whatever, they actually run the show. Oh, oops. She said something. Oops. That's what it comes down to. That's the whole shtick. Let's see. Who wants to be $4 trillion who wants to be $4 and $4 trillion by a millionaire? I don't know. Come back and tell me that one again. All right, here you go. Thank you. I agree. Anti-misogyny training rooted in a Netflix drama like Adolescence is overreach, but the core point stands. Male disenfranchisement is real. Yes. Violent consequences. See Alec Minassian. From when? From 2018. Name some more. Give me some more. Give me more names, please. Let's go to Elliot Rodgers, 2014, May of 2014. We can go there. Okay. George Sidoni. Okay. That was 2009, I think, is when he was on. And that was the guy who went to like the Pilates or the yoga killer dude, right? Okay, you got three. Let's see. Let's just round it off. Since 2010, you got 3 since 2010. Name another one. Name any more, because I can name 79 women who are guilty of statutory rape of their students, female teachers. I can name. I got it. I nailed it, didn't I? I nailed it. I absolutely nailed it, didn't I? He looked up
Bianca Devins with 2019 Dallas court shooting. Yeah.
Yep. That's it. Minassian. There you go. 3. You got 3. 3, and you're on a terrorist watch list. How do you fucking like that? Like Mike tried to nail me on Will Costello's participation in the incel study, and as I said before, maybe he's just a patsy. But either way, he knew what the fuck he was getting into as well. He knew who he was working with. Simple as that. And here he is right now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Anyways, you are correct. Let me get to the rest of these here before we bring Mike on. Why didn't you get an invite? Always a bridesmaid. Yeah. Well, I didn't get an invite because I would ruin the narrative. But Mike didn't get an invite either. Logan got an invite. Boy, we're going to have Logan Duong on for a minute. He's got a story to tell us.
Okay, sounds good. Yep. Do I get headphones?
No, we're going to have to listen through here.
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah. When I get to these. So why didn't you get an invite? Where we go here?
Do I need to move here a little bit? Hold on. Let me see. There we go.
Scoot him over.
Oh, okay. There we go. Kind of like this-ish. There we go.
It's almost like Access Vegas with no girls. To your point, all publicity is good publicity. Came from antiquated the minute that became antiquated the minute that mainstream journalists were forced to double agents for an ideology. There's no Walter Cronkite in the mainstream today. Yes, it's true.
I mean, do you think it's bad? Like, do you honestly think that HS Tiki Taki is going to lose one single subscriber?
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. But do you think he's going to gain?
Of course he is. Because you want to know why? Because here's the ultimate problem that they're going to have with that show is that because he was willing to look at HS Tiki Taki's misogyny, which, by the way, if HS Tiki Taki comes off as misogynistic, it's because that's what he wants you to believe.
Yeah.
He wants to be the more extreme version of Nick Fuentes, Andrew Tate, and Myron Gaines.
Yeah, everybody has to escalate.
Correct. He's the nuclear escalation of that. So it's not one of these things. Like, he would not be insulted if I called him a misogynist or if I called him a racist, because that's how he wants you to think of him, right? But the problem is they're always going to say, look at this pig, like what Louis Theroux is trying to do is look at this pig, look at what he's doing, but then you see the women who are following him around, and now you have to ask yourself, which you ask yourself, but he will never ask this question,
right?
Why is she following him? You see the problem?
Right.
So the issue is, if all these women would stop following, like literally physically following Andrew Tate. And by the way, I've seen a bunch of girls, though we can talk about the Myron Gaines fiasco. That was nonsense.
I got the video to read. I got a whole bunch of responses.
Myron has reacted to that. I've been there out with Angie and Myron when they were together. This idea that she broke up with him because he was polygynous is not true. Ridiculous. That just isn't true. She just wanted a family. And that's absolutely what the case was. My ex-girlfriend and her were close. So it goes back to that. But the problem is, they got to figure out a way to somehow, because one thing that gives them credibility is Justin Waller having a beautiful wife who gave him 3 kids. One thing that gives these guys credibility is Myron Gaines having a pretty girlfriend like Angie. One thing that gives them credibility is that girl Casey, and I forgot what that other girl's name were, that were following HS Tiki Taki around. And we have to be careful. Louis Theroux. Louis Theroux has to be careful, because if he really investigates why the women are following him around, then we come to some really uncomfortable truths that include. So, for instance, here's a sort of like a misogynistic red pill dogma. Not that you or I believe this, but like that you might hear is women only care about money, right? So that's the misogynistic stance, and then And then Louis Theroux comes and he meets HS Tiki Taki. And then there's a girl that's really pretty who's with him. And then he asks, then we go to Louis Theroux, hey, Louis, why do you think that those girls were with HS Tiki Taki? And he goes, well, he's stuck because he can't say it's money. He can't say the truth. He can't say that they're with him because of money, because then he's feeding into the dogmatic misogynistic belief that he's trying to protect against. So what he can do is he can only explore this from the male side. He can't complete the circle. He can never look at it. Why are women reacting so positively to this? Why, dude, I'm not kidding. I've had more than 40, 50 girls who know that I know Andrew Tate have asked me to get them in contact with Andrew Tate. Like so many of this. So the problem is they're trying to say that these beliefs that these men have are toxic and that they don't work and these men are immature. And I do think that I'm not here to defend HS Tiki Taki. I don't know him. I do think some of the stuff he said was outlandish and crazy. I'm not, and it actually makes our job harder because it makes the moderates have a harder time listening to us or taking us seriously because of HS Tiki Taki. I totally understand that. But my point is, because these women follow him, and because women follow Andrew Tate, and because women follow me, and because women come on our show, and because women go on whatever, and because women do all these things, it kind of discredits this sort of anti-manosphere rhetoric. But they have to figure out a way to do it. So here's what they say. They say, you're just picking OnlyFans models and you're just picking dumb women. Right. And it's like, you guys saw on our last episode, we had a data analyst on there. She was super smart. If you think that Katerina is some dumb hoe, she doesn't have an OnlyFans. She works as a data analyst. Katie Moore, rest in peace. When she passed away, has a master's degree. Like, we had so many girls on there.
We had
Nevadas
two
on
Miss
our
Nevadas
show.
on our show. We had real estate agents. We have insurance adjusters. We
specifically went out of our way to try to debunk this nonsensical myth of that, well, you're just picking the dumbest girls. No, the answers that we were getting from women having these unrealistic beliefs were not just from girls who were OnlyFans models or girls who were sex workers or whatever. They were from every woman of every age. That's what we were getting.
So I brought this up earlier. Since you were out when I mentioned this, I know Big Mo from the show from Fresh and Fit. Big Mo and the guys on their Discord channel keep track of all the demographics of the girls that are on the show. This is what he was telling me just today. I asked him before I came on the show. He said the new total, by the way, female guests is with reappearances as well, is 5,026 girls have had. And remember, they've been doing this for almost 5 years now, right? Okay. So they have, that's who they've interviewed, ages 18 to 60. Okay. Doesn't sound to me like they're picking dumb, 18 to 29 or 24-year-olds right there. It's who they got. They are from 48 different U.S. states, 105 different countries, 550 different job titles, including unemployment all the way to retirement. And of the 5,026, they have only Frank Castle, meaning kicking off the girls, 485 castlings. Well, somebody give me the percentage. Okay, so of 5,026, then give me the percentage that is 485. Tell me what the percentage is.
9%.
Tell me what 9%.
Yeah, it's 9%.
Okay.
So here's the thing. I grasp that the idea, regardless of what. Look, I don't know that because I talked to Chris Poxon. For those of you who don't know, it's Icy and Chris Poxon are the ones. Aaron Poxon, they're the ones who get the girls on the show. The producers for the show. I don't talk to them specifically about, hey, are you guys looking for mother's master's degree and married? Because that's what we're looking for. I'm specifically out there constantly. I'm trying to find women who are liberals, women who are mothers, women who are married, and women who have master's degree. And when I do so, I can get about half the show to be like that. But the point is, what they have, again, because there's this huge hole in the anti-manosphere logic. And the hole is there's still women coming on the shows and there's still women dating us. And they have to figure out some way to say, these guys are misogynistic troglodytes and women should hate them, but yet we're watching women follow them. So what does this say about women? Oh, we got to be careful, because if we actually express why we think these women are following them, they're all sex workers and prostitutes that just care about money. Now we sound like the red pill guys that we're actually going against. And so Louis Theroux, what he has to do is he has to only look at the male side of this and not the female side of this. Here's the big one. The biggest problem, by the way, if you guys want to hear somebody come off and just bash Louis Theroux for several hours, there's several other content creators that do this. Louis Theroux grew up with a feminist mother. I believe his father was unfaithful.
He's a promise keeper. He doesn't want to be like dad.
Yeah, it's fine. Like I totally understand that. I don't want to bash Louis Theroux. Louis Theroux is who he is. He did not come into this saying, I'm going to make a documentary to be fair and balanced, and I'm going to come up with a true decision on whether or not the Manosphere is good or bad. Louis Theroux had no interest in that whatsoever. He already knew the solution to the problem when he first started doing this. And then I heard some other people saying like, well, he wasn't really trying to get you in these gotcha moments. That's bullshit. If you guys see some of the other people recorded their conversations, and it's very clear that they were having nice, normal, moderate conversations, and Louis was waiting for them to say something that he thought was incredibly misogynistic. And you'll see what he'll do. This is a technique. If you guys want to go back and watch it, he'll ask Sneeko or Justin Waller or Myron a question, and then they'll say something, and he'll just look with his judgmental look on his face because his like jaw and his eyes are crooked, and he'll.
Yeah, he's like Mr. Bean. He's just it's that British deadpan,
but it'll be deadpan, and then you'll hear the music, and it'll be like stressful music while he's doing it. And it'll be like
circus music. It's the Baby Elephant song going on in the background.
He's like the punchline for Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah,
where Larry David's like,
yeah, it's that feigned like I don't know, it's like a flame, like a disbelief, that feigned questioning, like something just happened and I don't know what just happened.
So let's use some specific examples where he tried to gotcha Justin Waller. Okay, so I'm going to tell you this right now. You guys, I've been very open about this. All of the girls that I date, we sleep with women together. Okay, I'm not saying this is I'm not trying to brag about this. I'm saying this more of an academic standpoint. Now, if Louis Theroux was here, he would be like, how dare you? Like, you sleep with other women with your girlfriend? That's unnatural. It must be because you're abusing them or you're toxic or there's no way a woman would actually want a relationship with you and to sleep with other women at the same time. Now, of course, the issue in the situation with Kristen, and I know Kristen and Justin probably better than any of them. Mm-hmm. I talked to Justin on the phone right after the documentary came out. Kristen is attracted to women. Let me say that again, because you guys notice Louis Theroux did not brush over this at all. He needs to skip this part. This is the quiet part he doesn't want you to hear. Kristen is attracted to women. Let me say it a third time, okay? Because you guys are not hearing this. This is the part you need to clip and send to your friends who are having a problem with this. Kristen, who is Justin Waller's wife, also finds women attractive. And the two of them together would go out and meet women together. The idea that so here's the reason why you can't go there, right? Because now we're dealing with alternative lifestyles. Kristen would be bisexual, which would be under the LBG. That's what the B in LBGT is. And now we're shaming her for being bisexual. So instead of realizing the reality is that Kristen enjoys being with other women and her man and chooses to do so of her own agency, thus having 3 children with her man. Kristen, now choosing to do so, does so of her own agency because she finds women attractive. Therefore, what Justin Waller does, because here's the thing. Put a 1 in the chat, or put a 1 in the chat if you don't believe this. You don't believe that if Louis Theroux's wife wanted him to sleep with other women and her at the same time, that he'd say
that he would turn that down.
He would turn that down.
He would turn that shit down.
If you know that isn't true, put a 1 in the chat. If you know that isn't true. If Louis Theroux was in a situation where his wife was bisexual and wanted to have sex with multiple women and him at the same time, he would accept that. And so she's bisexual, meaning she finds other women to be attractive as well. Louis Theroux can't. So what he needs to do instead is say, no, what's happened is, and by the way, I understand what he's complaining about. He's complaining about the polygyny, meaning like when they're not together, then Myron and Justin Waller go off and sleep with other women. And he's like, in his mind, he can't. So here's the narrative that, like, say, Rollo and I would give you in that situation. A very high status man throughout history would have options with multiple women. And this goes everywhere from Genghis Khan to an Italian mob boss or a Russian oligarch.
Even the tribal chieftain in the Amazon rainforest.
The tribal chieftain would have multiple wives and would be open about it. We've seen polygyny before. Polygyny was not invented by H.S. Tiki-Taki. Polygyny has existed Polygyny has existed since at least the agricultural revolution and probably before. So at least 11,000 years, probably even before that. We know that polygyny has existed. Okay. And so in those situations, powerful men have had access to multiple women at the same time, and women have been comfortable with it. It's impossible because, again, here's what happens. If what we're saying is true, and that is Kristen, or let's just say in this case, Angie, actually saw the man that they were with being in love with them and seeing them as so high status that they were comfortable with the idea that these guys would sleep with them, Angie and Kristen, and then also sleep with other women. If we accept that narrative on its face, then it's not misogynistic. And now Louis Theroux is stuck in a very difficult situation because now he has to explain how women of their own agency, with their own decisions, not being extorted or exploited or anything, have come to the decision that this is what they want to do. They have a real, so the Angie issue is canceled out by the Justin Waller issue. Kristen and Justin are together now. Right now they're together, and they have their 2 children and a 3rd beautiful child on the way. They're doing that right now. That is so difficult to sort of like disprove. Those women who are following HS Tiki-Taki around, you can't sit there and try to manifest this explanation for why all of this misogyny is so bad and yet leave out the part why all these women are following these men. Now, again, let me say this for the 3rd time. I'm not here to defend HS Tiki-Taki. I will defend Justin Waller. I will defend Myron Gaines. And I'm not really here to defend Sneeko because I don't think Sneeko did shit. Sneeko
is not part of the Manosphere.
Yeah,
end of story.
Yeah. So he's
period.
Not part of the
end of story.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Why he was even included in this whole thing is
because
he's popular. That's why.
He's popular. Now, watching this alternatively, I feel this is what I suspect happened. I suspect he got Myron and HS Tiki-Taki, and he got HS Tiki-Taki because he couldn't get Tate because he couldn't get Andrew Tate. Yeah. And he got those 2. And then while he's in Miami trying to go to Fresh and Fit, he realizes that, hey, if I just go to Midtown, I can go see Justin Waller. And so he sits there and talks to Justin Waller. I promise you, he talked to Justin Waller for a while, and he was like, fuck, what are we going to do here? Like, he probably talked to Justin Waller for a while.
So what I think is going on here, I need to get these super chats here in a second too. And I got Logan in because he's going to tell me a real quick story here. But the thing is that I think what the counter to this is, or what people are going to say as well, these guys promote this type of lifestyle as if you could have it too, right? As if the average guy that's in their program can do what you're doing in your situation and what Justin's doing and stuff like that.
Doesn't Tony Robbins do the same thing?
Does he?
I'm sorry.
Does he nail multiple bitches?
I did not. I did. Joe Dispenza does. Joe Dispenza sleeps with multiple women at the same time. Yeah. He does the same thing. Doesn't Grant Cardone do the same thing? I'm sorry. Like, where was Grant Cardone in this video? The idea that men sell an aspirational dream is a sales tactic that has been around as long as there's been sales tactics. Yeah. I don't understand that. Like, if that's what you want to make a video about, make it about that. But that wasn't what the video was about. What he did.
The whole thing is, I think the thing that gets so many people like up in arms right now is they think that young guys are looking at Justin Waller and, God forbid, HS Tiki-Taki and all the rest of these guys as if they are some sort of masculine role models for them to aspire to, like watching Saturday morning fucking cartoons. Like, they just see these guys and they just rattle off the same bywords and everything else that they are. I will tell you right now, they're not doing that. That is not the case in this at this point. Okay. They might see a clip on TikTok. They might see a reel or something like that, but they are not watching 4-hour, 5-hour, whatever podcasts and going, he really had a point there. They're not watching Fresh and Fit the entire duration of a Fresh and Fit, like after hours kind of thing. Yeah. They're not looking at these things and then adjusting their lives around this shit. And then the first thing that I hear from all these lots of women who are like, I can't believe that young boys would pay for these, like, who's giving these guys money, right? I know where Sneeko's money's coming from. It's coming from Kick. That's where it's coming from. Not from a group of guys, not from some membership program, not from some t-shirts, not from going out on a Man of Action and going out and doing shit. He's making money off of fucking Kick. And he has to spend 10 hours a night or 10 hours a day to fucking maintain that.
We're talking about Sneeko.
Yeah. What gets me is like the guys, the kids, the impressionable next generation do not have the funds to join Justin Waller's fucking his version of Men of Action. They don't have the funds to join whatever HS Tiki-Taki is doing. What are they going to do? Save their fucking allowance to do this? Get the fuck out of here.
Let's talk about this real quick with the thing with Justin Waller. Justin Waller makes money from building steel buildings.
Steel
okay,
construction.
That's real. You can do a very simple search and find out that he is 100% legitimate. He kind of says what he told me in the sort of East Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana area, maybe a little bit of Mississippi. That's where he specializes in. He's actually looked at some properties here in Nevada as well. I know what Justin does. He also is involved with real estate. It's very cut and dry and very easy to understand how Justin Waller makes money. So this is a problem for Louis Theroux because he needs to paint Justin Waller as a con artist. And then additionally, one of the worst things that could have happened to him, because he wanted to interview Kristen and initially didn't want him to, but then he interviews Kristen, and then you see Kristen pregnant with 2 other children. This is very, very problematic for Louis Theroux because he needs to paint Justin Waller as a troglodyte and a misogynist. He's got to figure out some way to do so. I guarantee you there are hours and hours and hours of footage, but the only footage that was focused on was you date other women and your wife at the same time. Yeah. And he does so somehow trying to discredit Justin Waller because he has a woman who's so attracted to him and loves him so much that she would be comfortable with that relationship. Louis Theroux can't accept that a woman would be comfortable with that relationship of her own agency. He has to believe that the only reason this is happening is because she's being extorted or exploited. But then the problem is he's got to explain away the fact that they've been together for multiple years and they have multiple children and they live in this beautiful house. He's got to make him a con artist who apparently lies about how much he's worth, but yet at the same time has to show multiple penthouses and a Ferrari. He can't square the circle. So you'll notice of the content creators, Justin is amongst the least. HS Tiki-Taki is the most, meaning airtime. Go back and watch the show. Who does Louis Theroux give the most airtime to? HS Tiki-Taki, because HS Tiki-Taki knows what he's doing. He's feeding him misogyny, anti-Semitic. He's feeding
everything
him lines.
He wants for the narrative.
He's feeding him lines. And because of that, Louis Theroux is raking them in. Let me get those lines. He goes to Justin Waller and he's like seeing very few avenues with which to attack him. He's like, oh man, this guy was actually what he says. He's a good looking dude who played Division I college football at ULA. And now he started off a metal siding business, starting from poverty and turning himself into a multimillionaire. And he's got a woman who loves him, has given him multiple children, and he's rewarded this woman with a beautiful life. What the fuck am I going to do here? He's like, did we just waste all this time filming? How are we going to attack Justin Waller? Yes. I know how we'll do it. He sleeps with other women besides his wife, and his wife knows about it. You want to know what's worse than that, Louis Theroux? Sleeping with other women and your wife not knowing about it. Being dishonest about it. That's actually the problem.
Breaking the contract
that you actually made. And so now he's stuck in this bind. And what he needed to do is like, because he, again, could you imagine, again, we talked about this before. If he had you or me on, it's like, oh, this is Rollo Tomassi. He's been married for 29 years. What are you going to do then? Like, he doesn't have a place to go there. He probably looked at, and the same thing with Owen Cook. So here's the thing. I know they did reach out to Owen Cook. And the reason they reached out to Owen Cook, the reason why I reach out to Owen Cook is because Owen does have some very questionable content from his past, from like 15, 20 years ago, where he said some things in private that came off as to be a little bit misogynistic. He said that in the past. There's no way, because they don't have content of me saying stuff like that. That's why Louis Theroux is never going to ask me to be on this. I was going to
say that. So you did not get, I'm going to bring Logan in here in a second. So you did not get approached. Let me actually I did not get approached. I looked through my junk drawer, my junk folder. No, I'm still waiting on that invitation. Apparently, Andrew Wilson said he did get asked and then he turned him down. But somebody who also got asked is Logan. Put Logan in. There you go.
Hey, what's up, guys? Dude, Michael's spot on with everything he just said. It's fucking hilarious. And I asked him the same thing. I asked Louis when I saw him in person the same questions. Was like, dude, if your girlfriend let you, sleep with other girls, like, would you still do it? And he got super like nervous. He's like, well, I don't know. He's acting like how the guys were on the Netflix show.
He says yes. Think about the women who would not let their man sleep with other women. And now he's not a champion for women anymore. He's not a female. Right. He's not a male feminist anymore. Yeah. As soon as he says yes to a question that obviously he wants to say yes to.
Yeah. So Logan, what asked you what happened? Like, I wanted you to come on and tell that story because I knew you were going to type it out for me. Like, no, hold it. I want you to come in and tell us.
Yeah. The funny part is, like, most people don't even know I was even interviewed at all, and I didn't really talk about it at all. But he heard I was actively serving the Marine Corps. He heard about my podcast. He heard I was hosting an event with a bunch of girls for a private mastermind with my coaching clients, and him and his team wanted to film it for the Netflix documentary, which was this show. he never told me the title of the show. He just told me it was going to be a positive, documentary showing all the great parts about the Manosphere. I was like, great, sounds good. I'm all about it. Because like for me and everyone else who was watching, like this changed my life. This changed all of our lives here, right? And so I thought, I was like, great. Yeah, I was like, great. Like this is fucking awesome. Like he's going to actually show like the positive parts of it, and it's going to be on the mainstream. Sick. I didn't know anything about him. I'm not old enough to know about him. I'm like he's a completely different generation than me. And so I had no idea about his tactics or his agenda at all, or what his documentaries are about. I had my team and my assistants research him, had my managers research him before he came to the events, just to like make sure he was legit. And there was like some parts that did come up when we were doing our background search on him. We were like, yeah, he's a little sus, but his team saying that it's going to be a positive thing. Louis says it's going to be a very positive thing. It's going to be, we're just going to show the best parts of everything, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, all right, cool. It's going to be great. But obviously after everything happened, none of the footage that we filmed for the whole day made the cut. And it's honestly because the interview did not go towards his plan at all.
Exactly. He probably looked like a legitimate business person, didn't say anything.
Yeah.
One more time, he has to explain away the women, and he can't explain away the women without inserting these women are only here for money. Again, I don't believe women only care about money. There are some women who do. I don't believe that women only care about money. I don't think that women all care about looks. I'm not a black pillar. I don't believe that. But in order for him to explain why does Logan have beautiful women at his seminar, he has to say, well, could it be because what Logan is saying is legitimate? Well, if he does that, well, then what's the point of doing the documentary? Or he could say, well, these women are only here because of the money. And then in which case he's like sort of proving a red pill dogmatic belief. Proves itself. And so he needs to ignore that. So with me, it would have been the same situation. He would have been like, yo, he's at these charity events and there's like a bunch of women coming up and talking to him. Louis Theroux would have had to explain that away, and he can't explain it away while at the same time saying these guys are only bad, horrible misogynists. I'm going to give Louis Theroux one piece of credit here. He did say in his interview with Chris Williamson, and he also said this in the documentary, he said that there are moderate parts of the Manosphere. Most of the Manosphere is not like HS Tiki Taki. Most of the Manosphere are comedians and podcasters who are basically saying pretty moderate things. But those things aren't interesting. He came into this whole situation ready to bash people.
He needs monkeys. He needs monkeys in the circle.
I need to make one more point. What is that? Guys, does anyone remember the Andrew Huberman hit piece that they did on him about dating 6 women at the same time?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember ever hearing? So if you guys want to listen, there's actually a voice recording of that woman who wrote the article calling one of Andrew Huberman's friends and saying, hey, listen, I'm a huge fan of Andrew Huberman. I'd really like to get to know him. I was wondering if you could connect me with him. What does Louis Theroux do here? He goes, this is going to be a positive spin on the Manosphere. What does Louis Theroux do when he's talking to HS Tiki Taki? Hey, are we good? You guys remember that part of it?
Yeah.
Hey, are we good?
Dude, I have to comment on the same thing. He is so good at being fake. Like when the cameras are off, dude, he's a completely different person. He's actually chill as fuck. Like he's actually a cool guy. So off camera, he's a cool guy, and then cameras turn on, dude, he just flips so quick. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. Because like within the first 2 minutes of him actually speaking to me on camera, when the cameras turned on, like instead of him asking questions like understand what I do or like why we say the things that we say, the questions were just straight up accusations, straight from like, hey, how's your day going? Blah, blah, blah. I really appreciate what you're doing. Cameras turn on, and then he starts asking like, don't you think you're manipulating women? Isn't this just misogyny packed as like self-improvement? And I was like, what the fuck? And like, I told him like, yo, where is this coming from right now? Right. And he's like, this is my British humor. This is my British humor.
Your wife.
Yeah. Louis, 5 minutes ago, we were actually eating barbecue and you were like saying that you enjoy all this. And now you're asking.
Yes.
That would have been my answer.
Yeah.
It's not going to make the cut. He can't put it into the video. So you're bringing exactly my point. If he's willing to tell Logan, hey, this is going to be a positive experience, a positive representation of the Manosphere. And then he talks to Logan friendly when they're off camera. And then when they're on camera, he starts accusing him. If he's going to go up to HS Tiki Talk and say, hey, are we good? Are we still friends? Knowing full well his entire intent is to bury this guy. If he does so, let me ask you a question. What does that say about his morality? Because from his standpoint, it was like, well, these are bad guys anyway. So me lying to them and tricking them, very similar to what it says in the Quran about lying to the infidel, right? Well, you're justified in lying to the infidel. Why? Because he's the infidel. Louis Theroux is like, you're justified in lying to the Manosphere content creator because Louis Theroux has already made up his mind that the Manosphere content creator is evil. And so because of that, he's justified in tricking and lying to this individual. What does that say about his morality if he feels the need to be able to do this? Why couldn't he actually go out there in a vacuum? Here's another thing. He probably didn't have any gotcha footage of Logan. So he doesn't have any gotcha footage of me. He doesn't have any gotcha footage of Logan. He doesn't really have any gotcha footage of you. So why would he ask us? Why would he include us in the documentary?
Yeah, he definitely heard of you guys. Like I mentioned you guys like plenty of times. Like all of you guys, all my mentors, everyone
on Twitter. I know for a fact.
He knows you. Yeah, he just knew like you wouldn't give him any good clips. Like it is what it is. Yeah, like the reason why he saw me as maybe like a target is because he's like, oh, Logan's doing an event. Maybe I can interview some of his clients, maybe some of the girls, blah, blah, blah. But I never let him get to that point after I heard him like switch up on camera. I was like, okay, yeah, you're not going to be able to talk to anyone like after this shit. Fuck that. But yeah, the biggest thing was like, it was a clear like narrative right off like the bat. Like it was literally written before they even showed up. Like it was planned out. His whole team is like super well planned out. Like his team members, like if you start to feel uneasy answering questions, his team members will be, hey, Logan, it's totally fine. Like if you need to take a break, if you need to go walk around, whatever it may be, like let's chat. Louis just came off a flight. He might be a little frustrated. So that might be the reason why he's asking these questions. Let's just take a break real quick. And like, we'll be like, all right, cool. Maybe that's the truth, right? Like, but his whole team is just a bunch of liars. Like they're all professionally trained liars. It's insane. Like I've never met anyone like this before because I just don't hang around people like this at all. But it was the first experience for me. It was very, very interesting. And if someone like starts asking you questions that assumes guilt instead of like seeking any truth, you know exactly what's going on because they were not documenting the truth. They were just trying to manufacture it. And I told them straight up, like, if this is going to be a hit piece, that's completely fine. Just be honest about it and we can run it up. I'm completely cool with that. But like being dishonest and being fake is something I don't fuck with. And I told them that straight up on camera. And, I said, I'm totally fine with answering hard questions, but I'm not fine with dishonest questions, right? And like you could disagree with me, that's completely fine, but don't pretend that you're neutral because he would do that. He'd be like, "Oh, I'm just being neutral. I'm just asking neutral questions," right? When he's clearly not. And my rule in life is very, very simple. Like if someone tries to control the narrative,
hold that thought for a second, Logan. This was actually I ripped this off from one of the comments on Chris Williamson's interview with him, which, by the way, seemed very conveniently like ready to go after all this shit.
That was obviously pre-planned.
Front loaded.
There's nothing wrong. I would do the same thing. I would have an interview with you when your book comes out. There's nothing wrong with that.
I was just going to say that like, we'll get to that point here. So this is one of these guys. I don't know who this guy is. I hope he reaches out to me. I tried to get in touch with him. He says, I used to be a big fan of Louis Theroux's documentaries until I worked with his production company, Mindhouse, on a Passport Bros documentary. My experience was that the narrative felt largely predetermined before filming. Over several weeks, there was a clear effort to guide situations towards a specific outcome that would fit the story they wanted to tell. 2 weeks turned into 45 minutes. What surprised me most was the contributor agreement, which includes a very strict gag clause that prevents participants from publicly defending themselves once the documentary airs. I'm currently involved in a legal dispute related to the production, so I'll leave it at that for now. But behind the scenes, the process was very different from what the neutral journalism I originally believed the documentaries represented. I am more than willing to validate my story with any journalism or lawyers that are interested, and I am very interested. But that's one guy who was working with this dude.
Yeah,
and
I have no beef with Louis.
Signed an NDA or something like that, Logan?
Well, he tried to get me to, and I did not sign the NDA. I did not sign the NDA. He was trying to get me to, but I did not sign that shit.
That's why they didn't
Did you record? There was one part in there where
No, I didn't record anything. I was retarded at the time. I thought it was a good thing. I was like, he's got the cameras. I'll let him handle it, right? And I was like, my camera team, cool. They don't need to record. Just chill, right? I totally forgot about recording. I just thought it was like a chill moment. It happened so quickly. And then after the fact, shit gets even crazier. I told Rollo and told other guys, like Justin Waller heard about it. But they actually tried getting into my hotel room while I wasn't there because they heard that girls were inside of my hotel room. And we'll get to that later. But that shit is fucking crazy. Like they tried getting sneaking inside the room, like literally. So but yeah, going back to everything, like if someone tries to control narrative about you or anyone, like you just have to stop participating. Because at many times he would just ask me like stupid ass questions, and I would just smile at him and be like, "Yep, 100%," and I just laugh and joke with him. He'd be like, "So you're a misogynist, right?" And same thing I do with women, right? They're like, "Oh, so you like talking to other girls, right?" I'm like, "Yep." 100%. I just smile and nod because it's like that's the only thing you can say. Anything you try to argue with them or you try to, actually prove your point, you just lose. So I just smile, say yes, okay, whatever, and he gets so frustrated. He's like, "I'm trying to interview you here. Why aren't you participating in the interview?" I'm like, "Cuz you're asking fucked up questions. Ask me a real question." And then it kept going like that back and forth for a good couple of hours. But yeah, so basically after the interview, I told him, "Hey, like, honestly, this is very clear. Like, this is just a hit piece. Like, I found it very, very funny." They flew all the way out to California just for me. They flew their whole team from the UK all the way out to California to go film this for this event. And I was like,
they cut out of. I wonder who else they interviewed that they cut out of this documentary.
Oh yeah, they probably interviewed Sterling. I think they cut out a good bit of like Sterling as well. And they only left a small portion of him in there. But yeah, after the interview, I went back to my villa. And I was walking back to my villa, and my not only my assistant but my girlfriend who's in the room, they were like, "Dude, his team were trying to get into the room, saying they were room cleaning, like house cleaning. They tried saying they were house cleaning, like peeking through the windows, trying to get into the room. They found the room number at my villa and tried getting to the room to interview the girls by saying they were house cleaning room service. Fucking insane." And so when I heard that happen, I texted fucking Louis' team, and I was like, "Yo, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, do I need to call the cops? Like, this is crazy." And then, I confronted them and told them, like, "Yo, like, I'm super disappointed in you guys. Like, you guys are supposed to be like even like from the BBC, I expect you guys to be fucked up, but not this fucked up. This is insane." Right. And so I told him to leave, told him like, "Yo, this is like way too far. Like, no, this is not happening." But yeah, like, and this isn't even like a hit piece on Louis or trying to expose like Netflix, whatever it may be. Like, I honestly don't really care. I thought it was kind of funny. Like, the biggest lesson I got from this, and I guess like why I'm on here, like to share this story with you guys, is like, if someone's trying to come into your life and control the narrative about you, and they don't know your story, and they don't know your experience, and they never gone through your experiences, right? He never went through the military. He never got his heart broken. He never had to, learn how to understand women. He doesn't understand the reason why we're doing what we're doing. And he never even gave a fuck to even want to figure it out why, right? And he's going to learn the hard way. He will 100% learn the hard way. So we're going to let him do that, learn the hard way with his wife. Yeah. That's fine. But yeah, if someone tries to come into your life and try to explain things and try to paint a picture about you, you have to hold your frame, right? Because that's what media, that's what women are going to do. That's what business partners do, whoever it is. Like, you can't let people define you. And if you do, you lose. And that's something I definitely want to leave with every single guy listening.
Real quick, for those of you who are watching, we're not trying to step over each other. There's a delay between Logan and us, and so that's why we're stepping. So so we love Logan. We're not trying to. And Logan, it's like he'll start talking while we're talking. It's a delay. So
I have you guys in my earpods, so I can't hear what I'm talking.
Well, Logan, thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate you.
Hey, Logan.
Yeah, of course. All right.
Appreciate that. That's a really awesome insight.
We'll bring you back on Access Vegas. If people don't know, we've had Logan on at least twice on Access Vegas now. So. But just,
all right, see you guys. Thank you guys.
All right, we'll see you later, man. Thanks, brother.
All right, peace. All right, bye.
So back to what we said before. What was another piece of evidence? Here's Exhibit A, Your Honor, that they used against Justin Waller. That was just so obvious and blatant, but it wasn't really a piece of evidence. Did you see? There were certain pictures that they showed Justin Waller associating with a certain individual. Do you remember who it was?
No, which one?
Donald J. Trump.
Oh, Donald Trump. Yeah.
Did you know this?
Okay. That's now we're going to get to political connection because I said this before you came on. Okay, so I don't know if you remember this, but I'm going to do the setup again. There were two names that were mentioned in Kamala Harris's biography or whatever the fuck it was about why she lost the election. What were those two names?
Those two names were Myron Gaines and Andrew Tate.
Right, the two people that they wanted to interview the most in this fucking series, or whatever, this documentary, right? So there is a political aspect that goes along with this. I think there is a need to sort of ridicule these guys or pillory these guys because they were personally responsible for putting Donald J. Trump into office right now.
So let's really break down what you're explaining, because I spent like a year trying to break this down. I made the prediction beforehand and it turned out to be completely right. One of the most dangerous parts about Again, Rollo is obviously, originator of the red pill. I consider myself red pill adjacent. But let's just talk about any of this male improvement manosphere content. One of the biggest threats is that this content causes African American and Hispanic men to consider voting Republican. Now, when I said that originally, I got a lot of pushback. People were like, "That's ridiculous. That's not true." 41% of Hispanics voted for Donald Trump in this last election. And under the age of 50, I want to say 35% of African-American men, not African-American women. African-American women did not start voting for Donald Trump. The reason so many men who were minorities, who automatically would have punched their ticket for the Democrats, all of a sudden switched to Republicans, I made this prediction before, was because they would see the Democrats, they would see the Harris campaign having Glorilla, having Megan Thee Stallion, having Sexy Red or whoever, maybe it wasn't Sexy Red, I forgot who it is. Oh, Cardi B, and having Jennifer Lopez, who was also the girlfriend of P. Diddy. They would have these individuals up there. You have not Megan Thee Stallion, you have Cardi B, and you have Cardi B bragging about drugging men while she was a stripper and robbing them, and then you have what's her name, Jennifer Lopez, literally making a movie about robbing men as strippers, basically making a movie glorifying what Cardi B had done. These women were appearing at the Democratic National Convention. They were front and center speaking at the DNC. If I'm an African-American man and I want a wife and I want kids and I want a normal life, I'm going to look at this and say, this does not represent what I want. And so because of that, that's why they lost the election. Now, what happens, the real reason why this content gets so ratioed is not because they care about women. They do not, trust me, Netflix does not care about women. Instagram definitely doesn't care about women. Instagram shadow bans, and there's all sorts of female entrepreneurs on Instagram that'll tell you right now that their content is being demonetized and they're having multiple accounts banned. TikTok definitely does not care about women. Any sort of attractive heterosexual woman on TikTok, ask her how many accounts she's already lost. They do not care about women. The reason why they're trying to ban this content, and the reason why content like Inside the Manosphere gets funded in the first place, is because this Manosphere content creates it's a self-sustaining, almost political action committee that almost entirely supports the conservative parties.
And it's decentralized.
And it's decentralized, meaning we don't need to fund. What Myron Gaines and Andrew Tate did not require funding. There were not fundraisers. There wasn't a $5,000 a person black tie dinner that was necessary to fund this Manosphere content. So now what you're saying is there's a self-sustaining content, a movement that doesn't require any outside funding or any outside leadership, that causes minority men who normally would have voted Democrat to then vote Republican, which did happen. And then furthermore, besides the evidence that I've already presented to you, Kamala Harris in her memoirs then names, again, by name, mentions Andrew Tate and Myron Gaines as part of the reason she lost the election. I believe it's page 176 in her memoirs where she does so. So again, this is why this is a problem. Again, let me say this one more time. I think Rollo and I would agree. HS Tiki Taki is not a representative of what
Manosphere.
we teach. He's not a representative of the Manosphere.
Why that guy is in there? Like he's there because they couldn't get Tate.
He's there because they couldn't get Tate, and because HS Tiki Taki understands his audience, he went further into the crypto bro, Lambo bro.
Right.
I have a bunch of OnlyFans.
Escalated
it. I hate the Jews. Let's round up the gays. He went further into that. He gave Louis what Louis was looking for. So not the majority, but I say over a third of the document. There's 4 guys they're interviewing. I'd say over a third of the documentary, close to a half of it was HS Tiki Taki, because they could get the most hateful content from him. HS Tiki Taki would not be offended if you called him a misogynist, because he wants you to think he's a misogynist because he understands that makes more money for him. And like you said before, they couldn't get Tate, so they were trying to do this. Right. And then the same thing with Logan, with me, and with Rollo. They're not going to interview us for this documentary because we're far more moderate than those guys are. And also the worst part, they're not going to interview me, is because I'm going to use scientific peer-reviewed data for every single one of my opinions. That's really hard, because now Louis Theroux is having to explain, why are there so many thousands of women around Michael Sartain, And now I have to discredit these women, one. And number two, now I have to discredit these academic institutions, academia being a very, very strong proponent of the left. I have to discredit these academic institutions like Texas Tech or the University of Texas at Austin or Oklahoma State or Harvard or the Royal Society or the Journal for Evolutionary Psychology. I have to discredit them additionally. I can't do that. Let's just go listen to Myron call these women bitches and hoes, and then we'll do that. Now, I want to call our own foul here because you and I agree with this. I wish to God Myron had contacted me or Rollo before he showed that piece of content where it talks about every time a woman has sex with a man, part of his DNA stays inside of her.
It's called microchimerism.
Yes.
It's just so everybody who's going to hit me up in the comments goes, you don't know what microchimerism is. I know what it is. The jury is way, way out on this still. Okay, it's not. I understand what it is. The idea is that every time a woman has sex with a guy, that in some way it leaves like mitochondria or some kind of genetic, residue in that woman that eventually finds its way into your kid. So you're actually being cuckolded by all the guys that have fucked her in the past.
I understand that theory feeds into a narrative.
Oh, but boy, did that ever play well with a black pill?
There's no science behind
really, really
that. We're not gonna sit there when he's like misinformation. I was like, they were waiting for something. I don't know if they told Myron to play that or what the whole thing was. But yeah, that's not true. Like that, honestly, like the whole idea that the child comes out looking like the ex. There's no peer-reviewed data to support that. Okay, so I that's the only place where I was like, I kind of wish they had done that. Now, the situation with Myron and Angie, there's dozens of hours of footage. Myron, I'm going to let Myron defend himself on this. Myron has the footage. He's going to play the footage, which kind of shows what's going on. I will tell you, knowing Angie personally and knowing their relationship with what I've seen of it, I don't believe, first of all, I definitely think Angie was happy. And number two, I do believe, because I had a similar situation happen to me where I had a woman who wanted a family now and I didn't want it, and that ended our relationship. And her and I were sleeping with other women together. So I do believe, I'm going to take Myron at his word for it with the whole situation from Angie. Angie has not stated any differently either, which is also very difficult to the narrative. And what makes it even worse was Justin Waller. Justin Waller being in a similar polygynous situation and at the same time having his wife live in his house and having 3 kids with him. That's a great deal of investment. And the last one, okay? Well, because Rollo and I can speak to this specifically. I have Icy's phone number. Icy has been on our show.
Icy loves me like a uncle.
Yes, we are friends with Icy. We care about Icy. If Icy had a wedding, Rollo and I would fly out to Miami to be in her wedding. We love Icy.
I send her flowers for Mother's Day.
Yes, yeah. The idea that Icy. So what happens is. So if you or I have a personal assistant, if I have a personal assistant, or if I have someone who works in sales for my company, I have the right as a business owner to say, hey, this is proprietary information, and I do not want you as a salesperson working for my company having conversations with our competitors or with the news media without my say-so. When it comes to my company, if I see as a private citizen wants to have a conversation with Louis Theroux, she can do that. Myron has no say so there, but Myron definitely has a say so in his place of business, determining who can and cannot speak to the media. There's nothing wrong with that. That is not misogynistic or controlling. If you own a business, you probably saw that whole scenario and you were confused. You're like, why is this even in the documentary? This shouldn't be in the documentary.
Right.
Myron is perfectly within his rights to tell Icy to not have a conversation with Louis Theroux. Perfectly within his rights. But the reason why this fit into the narrative is because Icy is female. If Icy was a man, if it was
Bills or if it was like Big Mo,
if it was Bills or if it was Big Mo or if it was Aaron Pogson, and I was like, yo, man, I've just been talking to my boss, I'm not supposed to talk to you right now, that would not have made the cut. But because Icy is female, that's why it made the cut. Let me say this one more time. If you guys put a 1 in the chat, if you guys own a business and you have proprietary secrets that you tell your employees or your coworkers to not share with the public, your competitors, or share with the news media. Put a 1 in the chat, because I do not need I don't express prices or how my funnel works to the public.
I worked in wine and spirits for years, for decades, and that was just like, you didn't need to sign an NDA. You didn't need to that was just, you knew to keep your fucking mouth shut about like new products, because you knew damn well that somebody was going to lift your ideas if you talked about those things, or when you're going to come to market with this. Oh, okay, we'll get there ahead of you before that. So people think, Rollo's always really paranoid. Yeah, you know where I learned that? In fucking Wine and Spirits. That's where I learned that. Yeah.
So going back to what I said before, Myron not wanting Icy to talk was rational. There was nothing weird or strange about that. That was totally rational. Myron does not beat Icy. He does not hit He doesn't control.
Beat my women.
But the thing is, that's you know that when that scene was in the documentary, that was what they were trying to portray. That Myron is somehow physically threatening to Icy. That is what they wanted you as the viewer to assume.
Which is entertaining to me because Icy is the one that starts shit the most on that fucking show. She has been involved in more fights on that show than either one of the hosts.
But most of you guys out there,
she knows that you know it's true.
Most of you guys out there, you don't believe me.
Don't fuck with Icy.
Icy would probably
your ass.
Yeah, Icy would probably. Most of you guys out there, Icy would probably kick your ass.
Yes.
Icy would because Icy would punch first, and she would be dirty, and she would hit you with something.
Yes.
Icy will fight. The very idea that Icy is somehow physically threatened by Myron Gaines is preposterous. It's not to say that Myron obviously is bigger and stronger than her, but Myron doesn't. What I'm saying is Myron does not physically threaten her ever.
Icy
in
would
any
throw
context
first.
whatsoever.
Icy would throw
exactly.
first.
That's exactly my point. There's a lot of women that you might want to get in the ring with. She would not be first on my list. But
angry Puerto Rican woman.
What the narrative wants you to believe is that Icy feels her physical person feels threatened. She closes up, and she does. Why? Because Myron Gaines is her boss, and Myron has the ability to fire her and controls her salary. So the idea that Myron would then tell someone who works for him, hey, don't speak to the media, is totally rational, and it's totally reasonable. And that should not, again, Your Honor, facts not in evidence. This should not have been admitted into evidence. This is ridiculous, number one. Number two, the fact that Justin Waller has any association with Donald Trump is ridiculous, completely outside the manner, and being used. It's dog whistling by Louis Theroux being like, hey, wink, wink, he likes Trump. Wink, wink, he's a bad guy. You guys ready? Jump in the comments. He's a Trump supporter. And by the way, you want to know the funniest thing? Everybody, pause this video. You guys want to have a big laugh? Pause this video and watch the interview between Louis Theroux and Chris Williamson, and look at how the entire audience just turns on Louis Theroux.
Oh man,
because what he did was but they destroy him in the comments. Because what he did was so disingenuous, and people could see that was the case. There's something I wonder, is it possible for us to pull this up?
I got stuff to talk about, but yeah, go.
I think this will get your haunches up. Can you pull up the interview between Louis Theroux and Chris Williamson at the 57:44 mark, 57 minutes and 44 seconds.
44? Okay.
Can you pull that up for me real quick? This is something I really want you guys to see. So
I might already have
by the way,
it. Let me
Andrew, hold on.
I'll look it up.
Andrew Huberman, Joe Rogan. I know you guys probably aren't watching this. And Chris Williamson. I'm actually fans of all three of you guys, huge fans. And I will tell you, regardless of what you want to say, you are part of the Manosphere. I know you don't want to think you are. I know you want to feel like you're not here ready for another one. Richard Reeves, you too, come on down. You are also part of the Manosphere.
I actually have some hope for Richard Reeves recently.
Ready? Scott Galloway, come on down. You are part of the Manosphere. People want to portray the Manosphere as pro-men, misogynistic content that somehow blames or hates women. The Manosphere is about men improving. That's what it's about. So if you are in the male improvement space, Patrick Bet-David, come on down. You are part of the Manosphere. You want to know who else is part of the Manosphere? Alex Hermosi, come on down.
What was the key? What was the time?
It's 57:44.
57:44. Continue.
Yeah, but all you guys, you are, because what you're trying, when you try to define the Manosphere as hateful when it isn't, because the majority of content creators on there are very moderate. But when you try to do this, then what you're saying is I'm not part of the Manosphere because the Manosphere is only misogyny. It's only hatred. No, the Manosphere, by definition, is men helping each other come up. It is about the improvement of men,
and
not
that
at the
is what
expense of women.
scares the living shit out of everybody. That's why you have these hit piece hatchet job documentaries in the first place, because you are scared shitless that guys might get together and might find some way to improve one another. We'll react to this in just a second, but I've got this one really very grating video that was in response to the Manosphere documentary. But this chick is just saying, why, I think we used it on Access Vegas. Why is it that guys need to, like, how dare men teach other men how to be men? I'm like, well, where the fuck are they supposed to get it? Like, what's the approved process?
Honey, who taught you how to put on makeup?
Yes.
Was it a robot or was it a woman? Right? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. This is
57:44.
Okay. I'll blow it out here real quick. Is that good? That's good. Okay. Hopefully we got audio. I think we do.
I tell you what's interesting for me. The strange thing, at least a little bit, is I know pretty much everybody that was in the documentary in one form or another. I've either spoken to them, texted them. I haven't published any episodes with anybody. But you know, I've been for dinner, and I've been tangential, I guess. I think the thing that's weird for me, or that's a little bit of a challenge for me, is that it's difficult to speak to issues that men face without being lumped into this very broad term that sort of concept creeped out to include.
Okay.
Welcome, Chris. Welcome to what we have to deal with.
Yes.
It's so crazy to me because Chris is like, I'm the only one telling the truth and I'm having to pay for the sins of other people. Welcome to the club, Chris. That's why you won't have us on your show for that exact reason. What you think that's happening to you? Every single thing that comes out that's misogynistic, that Pearl Davis or Tiki Taki says, we have to pay the price for it.
We have to shit the bed, and we got to clean up the fucking bed.
What I'm saying is, you are accusing the world of the same bigotry that you are prosecuting on us. Let me say that again, because maybe you didn't hear me. You are now doing exactly to us what you are claiming the world is doing to you by including all this other nonsense in this space. No, Chris, you are part of the Manosphere. Go ahead. Can we finish that clip?
Yeah.
Manosphere. I mean, you know, feminism includes maternal feminists, someone like a Louise Perry who campaigned against rough sex killings and is very pro-family, and sort of the most anti-natalist, super liberal, super progressive woman. Like, you know, feminism is a very big, broad bucket term that includes everything. And I think that Manosphere is basically, Meninism was just too weird of a term. So Manosphere is sort of the online equivalent of what feminism is. And shared audiences don't really indicate shared motives. But I can say, as somebody that I think I do good work, I think I try to create a balanced approach for helping men and women to understand each other and improve their lives. But it's a difficult needle to thread to just talk to men at all. And, you know, you use a small clip, I think, of Scott Galloway at one point in the documentary. Richard Reeves as well from the American Institute of Boys and Men is sort of tangential to him, or Arthur Brooks. Like, is Arthur Brooks and Scott Galloway, are they really the fucking cutting edge of misogynistic content online? And then I see someone like a Scott Galloway talk about guys should be strong, or they should go to the gym, or young people should go out and have experiences and make mistakes. And, you know, he's concerned about the decline of alcohol. He thinks that people should be going out and getting drunk when they're young and whatever. I think it's difficult, or I found it increasingly difficult to be able to speak to the issues of men and boys and what's happening with gender relations and sex and declining coupling and all that stuff. It's becoming increasingly difficult for me to do that without being, lumped in with audiences that may cross over, but ideologies that don't really have all that much in common. And it's made it's been a really interesting challenge, because obviously people are pointing at lots of the same issues, but their diagnosis and then treatment plan diverge an awful lot. So yeah, it was very interesting watching the documentary.
So
I hear that.
So here's the problem, guys. If we say something that is backed up by peer-reviewed science, if we say something that is true, and then he says something that is true, then somehow it tangentially connects us together. The reason why Chris is almost got the point right. The reason why this is happening to Chris is because he's sitting there trying to discover the truth, but when he does so, he's accidentally red pilling himself and his audience. And when that happens, he's got this. You notice how he was very particular about the words he used right there, because he was saying something that could get him in a lot of trouble and lose him a bunch of sponsors. Which is, hey, these red pile guys say a lot of things that I agree with. He kind of wants to say that, and he talks about going to dinner with some of these guys. For those of you who don't know, he did actually do an interview with Andrew Tate. He's never produced the interview, for the most part, I believe, because he was arguing for the vaccine and Andrew Tate was arguing against it, and he just didn't want this interview produced. In this case, what he's trying to say is these guys have come up upon let me translate it for those of you who didn't understand. Some of the things that red pill guys say turns out that they're true. Like there is no pay wage gap.
Hold that thought. Case in point.
Well established that if two people, for instance, go 3 different places in a given day, they tend to feel like they know each other far better than if they stayed in one place even for a longer period of time.
Did you know that pickup artists were weaponizing this about 15 years ago?
Oh no, it doesn't surprise me, but I'm sorry to hear it.
It was common held wisdom in the pickup artist community that you were supposed to have a 3-location date to manipulate precisely this, to make the girl feel like you had progressed further down the maturation process of spending time together.
It's been well established that if two people, for instance, go 3 different places in a given
preposterous that is. So what if I make a girl laugh? Am I also manipulating her, Chris?
Weaponizing it.
Am I weaponizing humor? Me taking a girl on a date that she finds fulfilling and entertaining so that like, for instance, me doing things on a date to cause a woman to want to have more affection and spend more time to me is now manipulation. Me taking a girl on 3 different places, that causing her to feel closer to me and feel like we progress further on in our interaction, that's manipulation. Do you see how you fall in for this? That's not manipulation, Chris. And deep down, you know it isn't. And I'll bet you, because I know you worked in nightlife, that if we go back and look at your dating history, we're going to find situations where a girl went to a rave with you, maybe to a different place. Maybe you guys had dinner before, went to a bar, went to some. I'll bet you we'll find 3 location dates in your past as well. I bet you if you think about it real hard, you can remember those things. Were you manipulating her? Is that what was going on? It's just one of these things where it's like you need to dog whistle so badly to let people know, no, not me. It's not me. It's not what I'm talking about. What Chris did is that he started off with this search for the truth. And in doing so, he started having evolutionary psychologists and evolutionary biologists, evolutionary psychologist David Buss or William Costello, evolutionary biologists like Joe Heinrich on his show, different people like that. And in doing so, he starts to get closer and closer to the truth. Unfortunately, when he says a lot of these things, it comes off that there was also some guy in the Manosphere who said verbatim the exact same thing before, and now it's tangentially connecting the two of you. And what you think, like, again, well, no offense to you, Chris, we're not stealing headlines from you. It's the other way around. We're not going to, like, what did Modern Wisdom say today that we can do a podcast? It's not working that way. I find your podcast to be fascinating, and I think your podcast is incredibly important because your podcast platforms evolutionary psychologists more than any other podcast in the world, which is why I watch it. Okay,
but you also put Destiny on.
Yeah, but you also did put Destiny on.
You also did put Destiny on.
You also put like Sadia Khan on.
Yes.
You have panderers on like James Bloodworth, but James Bloodworth is a horrible misogynist and drinks a bunch of alcohol and comes to Las Vegas and hits on a bunch of girls just like a pickup artist. And you had him on.
Yeah, I love how you have Louis Theroux on there to talk about the state of masculinity, and you have also Destiny on there to talk about the state of masculinity.
So here's the other thing. I'm going to say one other thing because I actually am going to give Chris a little bit of grace here. Chris, Myron Gaines afterwards. Can we pull up the Myron Gaines thing? You don't have to read the whole thing. If you guys have seen it, Myron Gaines had a tweet about Chris Williamson that went mega viral right after the show came out. And the reason why he had the tweet on was because Chris had Louis Theroux on the day after the Inside the Manosphere documentary comes out on Netflix. And when what Myron says is, hey, do one of 2 things. Myron says, he's been trying to be nice to Chris. And the reason why is because Chris and Myron have hung out before. Let me say this again. You guys didn't know this. Chris Williamson and Myron Gaines have hung out before. When he's talking about, I have their numbers and I've talked to them and had dinner, one of the people he's talking about is Myron Gaines. Myron Gaines and Chris Williamson do know each other. And Chris Williamson, and so Myron has this situation where he was trying to be cool he says it out of respect for these conversations that we had. He tries to be cool to Chris Williamson. Myron Gaines has never gone after Chris, not hard. He's never gone after Chris Williamson, not in a direct, very attacking way. And he goes after a lot of people. And in this situation, what happened was if Myron was basically saying like this, and Myron knows this, and I know this, and Chris Williamson knows this. And you know this as well. I know that if Chris Williamson had Myron Gaines on, he would lose a bunch of sponsors. He'd probably have several members of his staff walk out of the room. He'd lose a ton of his female audience would leave. Yeah. I totally understand why Chris Williamson, and Myron does too, why Chris Williamson would not have Myron Gaines on his show. I totally grasp that. The problem is, what happens if I'm a TV station in Las Vegas and I have the Democrat candidate come on to try to campaign on my on my TV station. What legally then do I have to do? What do I also have to do? You also
have to have the Republican
one
side
more time.
on there as
In
well.
the United States, it's
fair and balanced.
It's fair and balanced. If I have the Democrat candidate come on my show, I must also have the Republican candidate. So I have two choices. Either one, have them both on, or two, just stay out of politics altogether.
Yeah.
The problem.
I have Myron's text here.
The problem with this situation is Chris, and I know you're probably not watching this. Maybe you have an assistant or someone who does. Either stay out of the conversation about Myron or have Myron on. And I know you can't have Myron on. Now, I know you probably think you couldn't have me on, but the reality is your audience would probably listen to everything I'm saying and be like, yeah, that sounds pretty accurate.
And
I don't say anything really misogynist.
That's, again, like what were you saying before, is like the threat is not that you would lose your audience if myself or you went, or both of us went on Chris Williamson's show. It's that they would agree with us.
Yeah, and then now
they would find something in common with us. That's the problem.
Chris, I promise you, if you ever had me on your show, I would bring forth nothing but peer-reviewed data. And before I went on your show with the peer-reviewed data, I would review every single piece of data I had with, because I'm friends with them, Mac and Murphy, Alex from Date Psych, and William Costello. I would literally, before I brought every piece of peer-reviewed data onto your show, I would have the three of those guys review it, and I would not even express my opinion in any way whatsoever, and just stick to the data. I promise you I would do that. There would be I've never called a woman a bitch, a hoe, or a slut on my show ever once. But the problem is, the situation is tangentially, I'm now associated with these other guys that are in this space. So there's a couple of degrees of separation. I am friends with Andrew Tate. By the way, you know Andrew Tate too. Chris has interviewed Andrew Tate.
Yep.
Okay. I know Andrew Tate. Because I know Andrew Tate, I have a photograph of me and Andrew Tate. That's why James Bloodworth writes the article about me where he doesn't get anything right and then tries to connect me to, what's his face? The guy who did the killing. Elliot Rogers. Somehow, I wasn't even on the internet but he connects me somehow to Elliot Rogers. But there's a picture of me with Andrew Tate. So you can connect Andrew Tate to adolescence and Andrew Tate to also this Inside the Manosphere documentary. And so in the Inside the Manosphere documentary has HS Tiki Taki. So now you're connecting Michael Sartain to HS Tiki Taki, and we can't have that, and we can't have those explanations. And no, we it's too extreme, and our audience won't like it.
Right. Okay, I got Myron up here. Go ahead.
Yeah. My last thing I want to say is, if you keep whoever this is, I don't care if you're Lex Friedman, I don't care if you're Andrew Huberman or Chris Williamson or Diary of a CEO. If you keep looking for the truth honestly, like James Sexton is a great example of a guy who does this. If you keep looking for the truth honestly, you're going to come across some uncomfortable truths. And a lot of those uncomfortable truths has already been discussed, and they've been discussed in this space because we're used to getting picked on. Those of us in this space are used to getting demonetized. We're used to being called names. We're used to have things flung at us. We're used to losing our TikTok. We're used to being demonetized on YouTube. We're used to it. We're used to being picked on. We're used to being called bigoted, racist, misogynist. Even those of us who are moderate and have nothing to do with it, we're used to that. We don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with losing sponsors because I have someone on who's controversial. Yes. And because of that, and because of the fact that I am truly, honestly trying to look for the truth, I have a level of academic freedom. And I'm not trying to call any of you out specifically, but I have a level of academic freedom that a lot of these bigger podcasts don't, because you have to curtail who you have on your show based on how controversial they are. Do you understand? You're shackled. You're handcuffed. There's people you can't. Like, here, let me say one last thing. I can, and I have absolutely changed my opinion based on new data that has come in. So, for instance, there was one study of the evolutionary hypothesis was that men who are of lower socioeconomic status are more likely to commit sexual assault. It turns out it's actually men of higher socioeconomic status that are more likely to commit sexual assault. I saw the data. I believe it, and I have changed my opinion on that subject because new data has come in. Because new data can come in and I can change my opinion, I am actually truly free. Because your opinions are based on dogmatic beliefs, and when new data comes in, you don't change your belief, you are actually shackled. That's the difference. The pay-wage gap is a myth. No, well, for the most part, it's a myth. The pay-wage gap is a childcare gap. Do you know how I know that? Because Richard Reeves, who's not a conservative, told me that, because now Chris Williamson echoes that. And now on these red pill content creators, we've been saying this for years. And so now tangentially you're connected to us.
Yeah. Eventually you all become red pill.
As long as you are constantly looking for a truth in a non-biased, dispassionate, academic way, you're going to keep coming to the same conclusions that we are. No, I'm not talking about the ones where women shouldn't be able to vote. That's not a manosphere. There's no manosphere dogmatic belief that women shouldn't be able to vote. There are people in the manosphere who believe that women shouldn't vote, but it's not all women who claim rape or lying. No, that's not a dogmatic manosphere belief. There are people in the manosphere who believe that. By the way, there's a lot of police officers who believe that as well, but that's not a dogmatic belief that we have. The belief that we have is, hey, what does the data say to us about when there's a divorce, who generally is awarded the custody of the children? Females are. When there's a divorce, who is more likely to file for divorce? Females are. These are not dogmatic beliefs. These are actual hard objective facts that have come, that allowed us to come to certain conclusions. And those conclusions, you're trying to come to this, you're trying to use the same data and you're coming to the same conclusions. And it gets more and more uncomfortable for you. A little hot under the collar, because you're like, yo, I'm saying things that Andrew Tater's saying. Fuck, what am I supposed to do here?
Well, that's exactly the kind of shit that I get into. Like when I'm like, I love Rob Henderson. Like I know Rob Henderson has me on mute or whatever on fucking Twitter or whatever. I have addressed this before. I use a lot of his stuff. I use a lot of the data that he's come up with. I have bookmarks in my Twitter of Rolf Dengen, of Steve Stewart Williams, of Marty Hazelton, of Rob Henderson, all these guys that they say, oh, the red pill guys don't know what they're talking about. They don't know these studies. I use Mac and Murphy shit.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
It's like I use the same data sets that you are using.
Guys,
my interpretation of it is where you won't go. You're unwilling or unable to go to those, to come to those conclusions or come to those interpretations. And the other thing is you're not willing to have those discussions. That's the problem. It's like, if like one of the things I keep harping on when it comes to the red pill is that it's a praxeology. It's written in pencil, not in pen. Okay. So it's not like it's a dogmatic, ideological, philosophical thing. It's like if you want to give me new information, like when we were talking about like can men and women be friends, I had to change up my way of thinking about that and erase the parts in pencil and put something new back in there. I'm willing to have that conversation, but no one else wants to have that fucking conversation because your brand is built on writing shit down in pen and not in pencil. That's exactly what you're talking about when it comes to being shackled to those particular things. And no one wants to have those conversations because if they do, they will find that there are unflattering truths about male nature and female nature. And it's the female nature of side of things that gets you into a lot of fucking trouble. So, that's why that's how you get the shit that happens in the UK right now, where we're teaching kids to be, respectful of women because we're worried that they're all going to turn into little miniature versions of Andrew Tate because the boogeyman says that this is that's misogyny. We were just talking about misogyny. I have those if you want to talk about that. But like the definition of what the ambiguous, like moving the goalposts, subjective definitions of what the fuck misogyny is in the first place. And we can't even have a discussion about those line by line and those articles and where they're saying this is misogyny, this is misogyny. We can't even have a podcast about one of those issues without us coming off as being misogynist. That's why you're avoiding that. And that's why you won't have that conversation. I would love to have subjective, like point by point, this is what you guys say, or this is what we think you guys say. If I say no, that's not, and here's how we come to that conclusion, here's how we interpreted that data, here's how this is what I'm seeing, and this is what he's seeing. If we have that conversation, that ends up looking bad for you because what happens is you built a brand on pandering to a certain narrative, and that's how it works.
So I like. Here's the thing. I think Chris is different, and here's why I think Chris is different. Because he had Jeffrey Miller, because he had Stephen Stewart Williams, because he's had Joe Heinrich, because he's had David Buss, because he's had Gad Saad, because he's had Ashley Mears, because he's had William Castillo, Andrew Huberman, because he's had Alex from Date Psych, because he's had Mac and Murphy on there. I truly do believe that Chris is looking for the truth. But Chris, I wish you nothing but fame and fortune and for your podcast to be the number one podcast in the world. But I'm telling you this, if you keep looking for the truth, you're going to keep getting more and more connected to us. And I know you don't want to believe that. And I know Louis Theroux doesn't believe that. I know it's easier to believe that we're all a bunch of knuckle-dragging troglodytes who just hate women and love God.
Weaponizing psychology.
I understand that it's way easier for you to believe, or at least for your audience to believe that. Maybe you don't believe that. But if you keep looking for the truth dispassionately, you're going to keep ending up where we are.
Let me get to these super chats here real quick. Been remiss. They will never have the Godfather or of the He-Man woman hating club because they can't use you enough. They can't use you enough to spin their narrative.
It's never going to
continue their agenda.
You've been married for 30 years, and I
don't know what to do
know
with
your
me.
wife, and your wife loves you, and your daughter loves you, and your daughter married a good man. Like
Yeah,
I don't know
on
what
top of that,
guys. His daughter married a good man.
blow you away.
I don't know what to tell. Like, of course, if I was trying to make a case against you, I wouldn't be able to disprove. Just like there's some guys out there. One of the things, the dating coaches who really hate me is they can't stand the fact that they weren't in the military, but I was in the military. So they try to discredit my military career by saying that I didn't fly special ops, or I never did counterintelligence, or that I wasn't a captain or whatever, and I never saw combat. And all of those things are objectively true. You guys could probably look up my jacket and see that all of those are true. I have medals for the summer surge of Afghanistan in 2009.
Back it up.
I can back it up.
Like,
So because they can't dismantle that part of my narrative, just like they can't dismantle the part of your narrative that you are married. That's why we're just not that interesting to attack or to make documentaries on.
Yeah, that's why we don't get the call from Louis Theroux.
Because I'm telling you, I know. I would say, okay, Louis Theroux is a progressive, so I know which way this is going. Louis Theroux does kind of hit pieces, so I know which way this is going. All right, cool, got that. So every single thing. I mean, you want to talk about a dense, boring, one study after another, quoted after another, he would have lost his mind. I would not have said 2 sentences without backing up what I was saying with data, and then he would have thrown that footage. He would have thrown that footage on the floor.
Thank you for the $100 super chat. I agree. They didn't handle it as strategically as you did on the doc. Dr. Phil. But
I think they meet Lonely Fans.
Oh, on OnlyFans. Oh, in the doc. Yeah. Okay. But it could be Justin and Myron did it to bring some men to them to wake them up. If it comes from a hate watcher being saved, which happens a lot. Magnus says, okay, thank that. That's a Warhammer.
No. I'm gonna tell you something. That those girls that HS Tiki Taki were with, some guys will see that and then want that lifestyle.
Yeah.
HS Tiki Taki made millions of dollars. HS Tiki Taki got paid more for that documentary than Louis Theroux will.
Yeah, you think so?
100%.
How does that translate? How
he will get more viewers? He will get more viewers. He will get
people
more.
Come
so
to
additionally, he's taken down a bunch of his images on his Instagram because he doesn't want to lose his account. By the way, people think that HS Tiki Taki is taking content off of his social media because he's embarrassed by it. That's not why he's taking it down. He's taking it down because if it's not there, so if I have a social media account and I have no photos up, you can't report me. That's why. You want to know? It's a little secret. I don't know if I should be telling this. Andrew Wilson takes down his debates right after he does them and puts them behind a paywall. The reason why is because you can't report him now. If there's nothing to report, you can't report me for something you think I did. You have to report me for something that I provably did. So that's why HS Tiki Taki's doing it. It's not because he's embarrassed by what was going on. And that man does not feel embarrassment for anything ever.
Why bring girlfriends and wives on podcasts? It always ages poorly.
No shit.
Yes, you are correct, my friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
So people like to go off this thing where I
where's Mrs. Samasi? Nowhere.
Yeah. People like to go over this thing where Kylie, I think my ex-girlfriend, she said something on whatever podcast, and at the time I didn't really like think anything of it.
I didn't either.
And then she goes on, not even a week later, she goes on Fresh and Fit and like of her own volition apologizes for everything that she said. I never asked her to apologize. Everyone shows the first clip, no one shows the second clip, and her and I aren't together anymore. But yeah, it's one of these situations where
I remember when that happened, and like I was like, because I was in the middle of talking.
Yeah.
And I was thinking I was talking to Farrah or something like that. And then after the show, I was looking back at the comments. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah,
I didn't even realize what was going on.
So part of the issue with that was, a lot of people, I don't know what they wanted me to reach over and hit her in the mouth or something. I don't know what the fuck they wanted me to do, but it was one of these situations where, in that whole show, in that whole episode, where we were making great points and, just having a good time and in the moment, and they take one little piece out of context. Oh yeah, I remember my point. Sorry. My point was, my girlfriend never had any plastic surgery done to her face, but they kept calling her plastic, and they kept saying all these things. And I thought, well, okay, if I have a woman who's 24 years younger than me, and she comes on a podcast with me, and she keeps talking about how much she loves having sex with me and how much she loves me as a person, then that will wake some guys up to my way of thinking being right. And the opposite happened. All that happened was guys would see that I had an attractive girlfriend, and then just started talking shit as much as they could about her boob job or that I was paying her money or something. I never paid her anything. I gave Kylie access to all my credit cards and she never used them. That's true. And by the way, the girl I'm seeing now, same thing. I literally hand her, and they never use them. You want to know why? You want to know why they don't use them? Because my arms are too big and because the sex is too good. That's why they don't use my credit card.
Yes,
that's true. I know that's hard. I know it's going to be really hard for you.
It's because your arms aren't big enough.
Yeah,
18-inch
guns minimum. If a woman is constantly asking you for money, it's because your arms aren't big enough. It's true. Again, there we go. There's that misogynistic stuff that I said. Okay, hold on. Let's do this real quick because we all had a big laugh and everyone's like, oh, Chris Williamson probably has some guys, some assistants who are like, yeah, there's the misogyny. That proves that we should hold on. Let's look at the data that shows that the number one thing that women find attractive in men from a physical form over height is upper body muscle. The data backs that up.
That's why the joke is funny.
Yeah, the women also show they prefer a man with a 1.65 to 1 shoulder to waist ratio. The data backs it up. So I said a thing, everyone laughed. Oh, there he was being a misogynist. Turns out the data agrees with what I'm saying. And so this is where we get into this dangerous place. And if you keep looking for the truth, you're going to keep ending up where we are.
Yes. Guess what? And you've also, Chris Williamson, what he just said, you could have got from Dr. David Buss when he was on your show saying exactly the same fucking thing. Yes. Look, this. Why does Louis, a liberal feminist, care that Waller is not monogamous? Wouldn't traditional marriage be a part of patriarchy if they don't like?
You're missing the point. It's not that he's not monogamous. It's that he's manipulating and extorting, weaponizing his masculinity to force his wife to allowing him to have sex with other women, to force his wife into having threesomes. Yes. That you're missing. It's not the non-monogamy.
Crushing her soul.
Listen. As soon as Louis Theroux starts having a problem with non-monogamy, now his LBGT allies come in after and attack him. He has to be careful. He was walking a tightrope there. He needed to make Jay Waller look like he was manipulating his wife without questioning his wife's bisexuality. Because if you go after the bisexuality, now you're in trouble with your liberal audience. So it's this very narrow road that Louis Theroux was trying to navigate. And so what he tried to make it out to say is like, you're okay with this, with him having sex with other women. So here's the problem with Louis, because I understand that he doesn't grasp this. I've been with several women that are okay with me having sex with other women who didn't want to have. I know you're cap. Like, listen, it's true. I've been with several women who are very comfortable with me sleeping with other women, and they didn't sleep with other guys. I know you guys are going to say it's crazy. And by the way, this wasn't my rule. I didn't tell them to not sleep with other guys. They chose to do so. There's going to be guys out there who are hating in the comments and saying that this isn't true. If you're a guy and you've also experienced this, where you are just minding your own business and you start seeing a woman who's just only interested in having sex with you and doesn't stop you from sleeping with other women, put a 1 in the chat, because you know this has happened to you too. This is not that uncommon. If a woman is super attracted to you, she can be comfortable with this. That's not a misogynistic term. We have data. We have tons of anthropological data showing that several societies before ours were polygynous. This is not hyper misogynistic. This is not terrible. Women can be comfortable with this. Are most women comfortable with this? No. But the idea that somehow the reason why that Justin Waller has this arrangement with his wife is because he's somehow manipulating her, or he's selfish, or he's misogynistic, it simply isn't true. It's a narrative that they have to go down to somehow try to make Justin look bad, because they couldn't call him a scam artist. The guy makes metal siding buildings, and he buys I can't remember exactly, like distressed properties and writes off the depreciation. I forgot exactly what his business method is, but it's a legitimate business method. So the money's legit and the followers are legit, and he's a good-looking guy who carries himself well and speaks incredibly well and has a huge fan base, and his wife loves him and has given him 3 amazing children. So how are we going to discredit this guy?
Well, we got
to figure out something.
The thing that gets me is this, is like, I've been married for coming up on 30 years right now. Okay. My marriage arrangement is it's closed on my end and it's closed on my wife's end, just like the traditional marriage has always been. Okay. But that's my deal. So if people want to say, well, Rollo Tomasi don't get no hoes, right? Like, okay, well, what's the receipts, right? Well, is it the 30-year marriage, or is the fact that I could be getting with all the chicks on fucking Access Fitness?
Let me handle that.
That's your job, right there.
Don't worry. Rollo doesn't need to do that. He's married with a kid. I will handle that part of it.
Give it to me.
Oh, there he goes again.
Oh my God.
Oh, they're making another misogynistic joke. Oh no.
Well, the thing is this, and I've said this before. I said, I've asked you this before. I've asked Justin this before. I said, would you have more respect for me if I said, you know what, I'm going to cheat on my wife? and I've had sex with other chicks. Would you have more respect for me or less respect for me for having done that? If I decided to divorce my wife so that I could go out and fucking fuck random Las Vegas girls, would you have more respect for me or would you have less respect for me as a result of that? You would probably have less respect for me for fucking doing that. Why? Because it's a breach of contract.
Yes.
It's because I have been doing this consistently for going on. Oh, actually, I've been with her over 30 years, but I've been married to her for 29 and a half years. If tomorrow some bitch goes on Instagram and says, I'm the girl that fucked Rollo Tomasi and I took, half his, I broke up his marriage and some shit like that. Would you have more respect for me? Would that be a receipt or would you run me up the fucking flagpole? I guarantee you would run me up the fucking flagpole because that's my narrative, because that's what I'm about. I have never deviated from that whatsoever and never will deviate from that whatsoever. Mike, on the other hand, has a different arrangement with his girls, but Justin has a different arrangement with his. I don't know what Myron's is, but it's clearly different than what mine is. And you know who had another difference? Destiny and Melina. And did you give them shit for breaking contracts or anything like that because they broken up? No, you fucking didn't. Okay. So when it comes down to how we're doing marriage in the 21st century, I think we're still trying to figure that shit out. Why is the marriage rate at 6.1 per 1,000 right now? Why is it as low as it's ever been? Because there's clearly something else that's going on. And honestly, I think the adolescence show, because it wasn't a fucking documentary, although they wanted everybody to believe it was, or this, inside the Manosphere, these are just disingenuous ways to point back to what's really a fucking crisis right now. And I kind of wanted to get into this topic with you here as well, is this is coming at a time where one in every men kill themselves at 4 times the rate as women. Divorced men kill themselves at 9 times the rate, right? We're looking at the lower college enrollment and college graduation from men. We're looking at men dropping out of the workforce. We're looking at everywhere you look, there's the epidemic of male loneliness. There's, oh my God, the incels are going to be fucking terrorists. Oh my God, it's like this crisis of this gender war, right? This gender gap and just the difference between men and women, this divide that keeps growing further and further. And it's got to be something. What's wrong with the guys? That's what all fucking Scott Galloway does, is go on show after show after show and talk about we have this really crisis that's going on in masculinity, has no fucking plan whatsoever to help or in any ways alleviate that. In fact, they come after you and me for actually having a plan for guys to actually, trying to make some sort of difference in these guys' lives or writing another book about it. Then we get the shit for it. But you're happy to go on these shows and you're happy to raise awareness because now it's okay. Now it's become so unignorable that even a guy from the Brookings Institute, Richard Reeves, has to go on these shows and say, you know what, there's really something that's going on with men, and I don't know what we're really going to be able to do, what programs we're going to be able to initiate. What we don't have a plan, but our plan is just to raise awareness of it until somebody does something about it, right? And the fact of the matter is the things like misogyny, things like the Manosphere, things like adolescence. And by the way, this is not the end of the line. Mike and I were in a really good documentary, I think, which was the OnlyFans one, which actually describes a problem, shows what's going on economically in OnlyFans, shows what's going on. Was it what was your quote? Something about you got a girl who could be a nursing student, but she can make $300,000 a year off of showing her butthole.
Yeah, a woman could be a surgical nurse or
that to me seems like a pretty
paralegal.
pressing problem. How come Netflix didn't pick up that? It's a documentary series. How come they didn't pick that up, but they will pick up Louis Theroux's thing? Why is that? Why did Rock, who's the guy who was the director and the writer for that, why did he come to us and take the time out of his day to come in and interview us, as well as Sadia Khan and some other people? But why did he go and do that? And why is that? Because that's a very important documentary. It's breaking down everything that everybody's ever said about OnlyFans, but nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about men are offing themselves. There's no Louis Theroux, go do a documentary about male suicide. Louis Theroux, go talk about the epidemic of male loneliness. Louis Theroux, go talk about all this, anything that is a male specific problem or issue that we all would be happy to go on Oprah and talk about.
Could you imagine?
But you won't do a fucking documentary.
So adolescence goes over the idea of children and knife crime, right? Because the main character stabs one of his classmates. As female classmates. Imagine if Louis Theroux actually looked at knife crime in the UK, where that would take him. Because now we're getting into certain ethnocentric topics, realities that become very difficult for progressives to explain. That's where when we actually go over where does the actual knife violence in the UK come from? Better keep that quiet. What we need to do instead is make a show where we have a white middle class kid stab his female classmate because he heard Andrew Tate, which never, ever happened.
Yeah. Let me look at this here. I don't know why everyone is so surprised about Theroux's take on the Manosphere. I knew from the moment I saw him on FNF that he was biased and was looking to disingenuously criticize the space unfairly. I had same reservations about having CBS come in here when we were doing Access Vegas. But here's the deal. And guys, I can't take Justin Waller and Myron out of the mix here. Okay. Again, this is not a flame on those guys, but you knew what you're getting into when you had this guy on here. Okay.
Yeah,
if you did even a cursory search on who this guy was, you knew damn well who he was coming for, and you knew damn well that the optics of what the optics were going to be. If Myron is there with a little dog in his hand and Angie's there and he looks like that's going to find its way into the fucking documentary.
Yeah,
you know it's going to, and it doesn't matter, as I was saying before, it doesn't matter how many GoPros you have running to secretly, film this thing. That not even that, 45 seconds of that is going to be more impressions than your hour and 20-minute rebuttal and here we're going to expose what really happened, right? Doesn't matter. Damage done. He came out with it first. It's on fucking Netflix. Okay. I really think that if you have this idea that you're going to go and talk to mainstream media, but you're going to secretly record it, you got your work fucking cut out for you. You better punch first. You better put your recording out before they put their piece out on you. Otherwise, it's going to look bad. When we had the CBS guys in here, we were already running. That was already a live stream, and everybody saw it happen live in real time.
The problem,
and they never used
they used a little bit of it. But the problem with the CBS thing is that it wasn't a hit piece.
No, it wasn't.
Adam Yamaguchi, awesome. The guys from CBS, because they're not being paid to make things more biased than they. It's middle of the CBS is liberal, but it's the middle of the pack. The CBS thing, the problem that they had is that there were a bunch of girls in here agreeing with what I was saying. Some of them were very pretty. More than half of them weren't sex workers. And they were laughing the whole time. And they're like, how are we supposed to make him look misogynistic? Like, we can't make him look misogynistic. Yeah. And they didn't interview me for long enough to take me out of context. Adam only interviewed me for 45 minutes. He had a family emergency and had to leave Las Vegas. So there's nowhere to take me out of context. And then lastly, Richard Reeves did my podcast. Sorry, can't take that one back. He did. And when he was on the podcast, you know what he didn't really do? He hardly disagreed with me at all. And the reason why is because he's looking for the truth, and so am I. And so is Rollo. And that's the problem that you guys are always going to have. Now, let me say a couple of things. When he starts talking about round up the Jews, is that a manosphere dogma? Of course it isn't.
No.
That's what maybe Myron says as a joke or whatever. He can say that, but that's Myron speaking of his own accord. That's HS Tiki Taki speaking of his own accord. That's not a dogma you have to believe that comes along with being red pill or in the manosphere. So please, guys, understand that. The thing that Chris Williamson was not accusing, but almost like an unfortunate situation that Chris Williamson found himself in. Chris Williamson doesn't realize that he's forcing that exact same situation on us. But because he has a problem with the idea that he's lumped in with people that he doesn't agree with because of some of the offensive things he says. Chris, because you don't have us on your show, you're doing the exact same thing to us that you're accusing the rest of the world of doing. Guys, I got to run. I got a live stream in 20 minutes. If you guys are in the Men of Action forum, I'm starting a live stream here in 20 minutes for all the guys in the forum. Make sure you come check me out.
Right on.
All right, man. I'll see you soon.
Zip. Thanks for coming in, man. Yep. Now I can put these back in. All right, guys. I'm going to get to some of these super chats real quick here because I have been remiss in my duties. If approaching her gives her the power of choice, how do you balance the burden of performance and creating genuine desire? I don't see how approaching her gives her the power of choice, right? You're just simply, you're initiating a conversation. So the burden of performance is this, is like, remember that women, you're the pitch man and she's the advertiser. Okay. Yes. Is she going to be the one who decides whether or not she's going to go? She's ultimately going to decide whether she has any kind of desire for you. But how do you balance a burden of performance with creating genuine desire? Is you be a guy that can generate that kind of desire, genuine desire. So again, think of it in this way. If you are, and I'm going to use numbers here. If you are a guy who is a 5, right, and you want to get with a chick who's a 7 or an 8, now, I'm not saying that you couldn't, miraculously game a girl who's that much higher than you into bed or whatever, however you want to do it. I'm not saying that could be, you're going to be in a much better position if you can increase your value to at least a 7 or an 8. So like how do you do that? Through your burden of performance, right? The other thing is, I think you're kind of getting things mixed up here too, as well, is remember that frame is the direct result of your burden of performance. What makes you respectable? What makes you what gives you credit? What makes you authentic, right? I hate using that term because like authenticity is really just perceptual as it is anyways. But yeah, so what are you going to do? You're going to not approach her? Like, see, that's the other thing, is that the approach itself is also a demonstration of your burden of performance. So how comfortable are you in approaching? Like, are you used to starting a conversation with somebody? Like I get to the point right now, and I tell my guys this in Reignite. Like there's no instance that isn't a good time to actually use game of some sort, or use your social skills. I even hate to call it game, but it's like using your conversational skills, using you being social, being extroverted, trying to at least initiate a conversation. Sometimes I think people will think of like, oh, he's going to ask her out, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, it doesn't have to be like this. Hey, can I get may I meet you? Like that's bullshit. Okay. But the thing is it's not, I don't think it's so much like a one-sided thing, or it's a giving her power of choice. If you're just starting a conversation with her, right? She's always got the power of choice. That's always going to be there. So what are you going to do? Not institute. You're going to wait till she comes. You're going to sit over on the side of the party and go, well, these girls don't know how great I am. Sooner or later, one of these girls who's the real special girl will just come up to me and ask me and give me the power of choice. It doesn't work that way. But as far as your burden of performance is concerned, like how do you balance burden of performance with creating genuine desire? Well, genuine desire grows from your frame. It grows from the manifestations that come from your burden of performance. How well money, muscles, and game, right? What does your status look like? What does your affluence look like? What are your looks? What do your look like? There's the complete package, right? Oh, you're saying I have to be a dancing monkey? No, I'm not saying to be a dancing monkey, but you do have to fucking up your game. Why wouldn't you? Do you want a fat chick, or do you want the hot chick that stays in the gym and works out and takes care of herself? Who's approaching who at this point, right? The other thing I think is also that having that conversation doesn't have to be some sort of like pickup, right? It doesn't have to be like, hey, baby, can I buy you a drink? Like, no, it could be something as simple. I can't believe I'm going to tell you. I already told my guys this in Reignite, but you ever been like, Kyle, have you ever been to like the cash register, or like you're at a retail store or something like that? When I had long hair, I used to go to what was it? Is it Sally's? I used to go. Yes, I used to dye my hair. I would come 100% clean. Right, I shaved my head already, so I can come 100% clean with you. Yes, I dye my hair. So what? Right. So I went in. I remember one time I went into Sally's, and the chicks behind there, she's pretty hot, man. She was pretty cool. And I think I just got done at like working out at Powerhouse or something like that. And I could tell she was kind of like a little bit flirtatious, right? And this is what cash register chicks do. They go, do you have a phone? Like, do you have a phone number on file, on record with us, right? And I'm like, I don't think so. And she's all, can I get your phone number? I go, well, that's very forward of you. And so I'm like, oh, she's like, so I lean into it like she's asking me for a phone number. Right? Yep. And I'm like, well, I usually on a first name basis when people I go, hi, I'm Rollo, like that kind of stuff, right? And it's funny because she has to ask me that, right? And I just thought of it, and I was just fucking around, right? I'm not gonna go fucking take this chick home, right? But that conversation right there wasn't me giving her power of choice. You're giving her power of choice, right? But it is being flirtatious, it's being fun, and it's saying, well, okay, yeah, give me your phone number, that kind of thing. Waiting for that kind of wittiness is really more, I think, valuable than most guys would really. But you have to practice it. You have to like look for those kinds of opportunities, and it kind of has to come to you in the moment. What's this next one? Been going on multiple dates with a girl that I like. Who should initiate an LTR? Should I wait for her to say something about dating long term? Yes, always. Never say I love you first. That is the first commandment of Poon, according to Royce. Never say I love you first, right? Never be the one to do the commitment first. And if you would like to know whether I did that with my wife, exactly what happened, right? I was dating non-exclusively. She was too for a while. We were both seeing other people. She used to work at the hospital, and I was dating chicks that were in her same hospital at the same time. And I was like, oh, okay.
Reputation.
There was a point. I'm glad it happened this way. You want to know story time with Rollo? Here we go. I was dating this other chick that was at the same hospital that she was at the same time, and I was seeing her, and we were still knocking it out. And I was literally spinning plates at that time. And there was an event that was coming up. I think it was like a crab feed or some shit like that, right? And it was for hospital employees and for like the fire department and like emergency services people, right? And they would have like the city would put it on. And I knew that I had to take my, who's now my wife, the woman who is now my wife, or this other chick that I was seeing, because they were both going and they both wanted to go with me to the thing. I'm like, oh shit. But it was at that time that my now wife, we were just hanging out after we had hot monkey sex. And she says, I don't like the idea of you like being with other women. I want to be exclusive. And she was the hottest girl that I was seeing at that time. And I really liked her the best of all of them anyways. And so that was quote unquote the talk, and so you're going to get sooner or later, if you're spinning plates, one of those chicks is going to give you the talk. The talk is usually something like, I want to be exclusive with you, or something to that effect. If she's the one that's asking you to be exclusive, and at that point, by the way, at that point, it's like fish or cut bait, right? Mm-hmm. So you're that play is going to fall off, or you're just going to say, okay, yeah, I like this one the best. Again, everything that I have just told you right now when it comes to spinning plates, that is actually the last chapter of the plate spinning series. There's 6 chapters for plate theory in The Rational Male, in the first book that I wrote. And so at that point, it's like, okay, now that I have this, I know that I can generate options. I've been with other chicks. Of all the girls that I'm with who are on my roster, this one I like the best, and I like where this is going the best. At that point, you get to decide whether or not you want to be monogamous with that person or not. And you can, and it's when it becomes your sexual selectivity, there's no better place to be in that case. Same thing with when Royce was saying, guys should never be the first one to say I love you, and the reason for that is because so many guys do. I actually have data on this somewhere. It's in my bookmarks on Twitter, but they've done research of couples. Who was the one who initiated monogamy? Who's the one that by saying I love you first, right? Because it's at that point where the woman says I love you back, and then you're a thing or not. So in an overwhelming majority of monogamous relationships, men were the ones who said that they loved the girl, the person. And that kind of makes sense too, because if you look at statistically, like 80% of guys are going to be unfuckable, right? They're the unattractive guys. And then there's the 20% of guys who aren't unattractive or aren't attractive, but that doesn't mean they are attractive, right? They're just not unattractive. Those guys are sort of in the limbo stage, right? They could be more attractive than they are. Just depends on what their situations are. But if you're one of the, like most men, and Mike has said this before, like most men never fuck a 4. Yeah, like I disagree with that. I want to give guys a little bit more credit than that, but I understand the logic behind it, because statistically speaking, most guys, if they get a chance with a chick, they hang on for dear fucking life. And so they're the first ones that say, I love you first. They're the ones who say, are you my girlfriend? Can I put you on my Instagram? Can I, they're the guys, because they ain't got no hoes. You were never going to score. You're never going to score again. You'll never find one as hot as this. And so you hang on with both hands. And it's at that time that you say, and so what happens is you're essentially ceding frame to her as a result of that. It is much better I've said this a million times. It's like the frame that you enter into a long-term relationship or monogamy or a marriage with. The frame that you enter into it with is going to set the theme. I'm not saying you can't lose frame. You can, but it's going to set the theme for your frame with your wife from that point on. Right. So if you lose frame, you lose it even worse because you had it before and she was all about it and you fucked up. Right. If you never had it in the beginning and you're trying to get it back, that's pretty much set the theme for you right there. So something to remember. I think a big part of that is not being the first one to say I love you or to initiate monogamy in the first place, because it's a reward. Oh, he was reluctantly giving. He just. I'm so great that he couldn't say no. Right. That's the case. And I would expect that. Again, here's tactically speaking, and I hate to break this down into semantics of wordplay and just wordsmithing it here. When women have the talk with you, and you know what the fuck I'm talking about, the talk, right? It usually starts with, where is this going? And that then leads to, I want to introduce you to my family, blah, blah. And so now the girl who was a plate is asking to be something, not directly asking this, but tacitly asking, I want to be exclusive with you. It's at that point she either says, I love you, or I want to be with you exclusively. If that's the case, she's the one that has to initiate that. And you reluctantly say, yeah, all right. Whether you could be like dead ass in love with this chick, but it's got to be something where it's like, it's got to be something, it's got to be a reward. It's got to be something that she earns. Because if it's not, that will set the theme for the rest of your relationship. Remember, I keep saying, no woman wants to get with a broke ass dude. No woman wants to get with a woman get with a man that no other woman wants to fuck. And if she can, usually if it's like, we're going to have the talk, if your girl is like, quote unquote, the alpha female, we need to talk about this. And it's like a business fucking arrangement. Like, we need to have a talk. Okay. What's on your mind? I want to know where this is going. It's going great for me. It's got get down and suck my dick. Right? It's going awesome for me. What do you mean? Well, you have to be able to sort of know how to push back. She has to be the one that seeds frame. And right when she's asking you and saying, we need to have a talk, usually that's a frame grab on her part, because we've been going, you'll see this on TikTok all the time. Like, stop wasting women's time. If you're not, you need to date with intent. Why? She's the one that should be saying, I love you. I can't believe I'm with a guy like you. Remember that the evangelical guy who's saying, oh man, you should chase your wife the whole time. That guy has never had frame in his life. And the chick that he's with, or the woman that he's with, or the wife that he's with, he's still qualifying. That chick doesn't, that woman knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that he ain't shit, that he's going to keep following. He's going to keep chasing. It is not complimentary. I've seen this so many times where guys will do that and they'll be self-deprecating. They'll go, well, it must be a God thing because I can't understand why she'd be with a schmuck like me. And it's like, you have basically confirmed to her ego look, she doesn't have to wonder whether you're the best she could get or not. Like, remember when we say, women will deliver you shit tests in a relationship? The passive shit test is he the best I can do? If you say, I am in no way the best you can do, thank you for that fucking cookie. Thank you for being there for me. It must be a God thing, because look at me. I suck. I'm a worthless worm of a human being, and you're an angel who came down from heaven on above. And by me telling you this, it's going to make your pussy wet. No, it's not.
Reevaluation
yes.
time. Yep.
You basically confirmed for her that you are not the best she could do, because you just said, I'm not the best you could do. You could do way better than me.
She's going to go work out.
Yes.
She's going to go monkey branch.
Why? Christian guy, my Christian brothers, why do you think this is game? Why do you think this works with your bride? Why do you think this works? It doesn't fucking work. It is anti-game. It is anti-seductive. When everybody, when I introduce my wife and people go, oh, hey, this is your wife. Hey, yeah, she's lucky to have me. Like, why is that not the first thing that comes out of your mouth? And people joke, oh, they think you're being cocky and funny, which I am.
Where's your chauvinism?
But I'm not. You will never hear those words come out of my mouth like, oh, I'm so thank you. Can I please fuck you now? Am I my poor worthless value to you? I can't believe it must be a God thing. No, you lost frame. You never had frame in the beginning. You thought that was game, and it's not fucking game. That's why she has to say, I'm with this guy and I love him. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. I pray to all the gods in the fucking universe. Thank you for sending this guy into my life to fuck me good, feed me, give me babies, and take care of us and take a bullet for us. When do you hear women say that? When have you ever heard a woman self-deprecate and go, I will guarantee you that the chick, I don't know who she is, I don't know her name, but I will guarantee you the chick that is with Henry Cavill will not say that, will not, I'm really lucky to be fucking this guy. They will not say that. It will not come out of their mouths. Like, people are dumbfounded when Brian from whatever podcast goes around the table. He does this all the fucking time. What would you rate yourselves, ladies? And every last one of those chicks, I mean, with slight variation, but damn near every one of those chicks, I'm a 10, I'm a 10, I'm a 10, and then Brian wonders why. Like, I wonder why all these girls. Clearly, this fat bitch is not a 10, right? Gorlock the Destroyer says she's a 10, right? He says, I think it's a guy, but you're not. But because of the gynocentric social order, because we have this fempowerment narrative, all women have to rate themselves all as, well, everyone's beautiful. There you go with the egalitarian thing again. Everybody's beautiful. And the reason why they rate themselves as 10, because they've been told from the time they were 5 years old and watching Moana or Brave or whatever Disney movie that inspired them, that they are all 10s. That they are always like that. Every girl, they will never say that they're the most realistic assessments I've heard from women have been the girls on our show who are, like, in my book, they're at least 8s, right? At the very least 8s. They'll say, oh, I think I'm about a 6 or a 7. And these are girls who are like bottle girls, or they're like atmosphere models at like Cirque, or they're at like Wet Republic or something like that, because they know the competition that they're with when they have to go and get a job as a bottle girl, when they have to go and become like a model, a server, or whatever the fuck it is at Wet Republic. They know what their competition is, and they know they have to be in elite shape to get the hell. Just at Bel Air, just at Durango, you have to be in elite shape to do that. And they are far more realistic because they know what a 10 is, and they know what a 9 is, they know what an 8 is, right? But if you're just sort of like amongst the commoners, if you're a plebe, I'm always a 10. That's what girls tell themselves, because they've been taught to never let down the ego, which is also why you will never hear this guy's wife say, oh, I'm lucky to have this guy. No, she's not lucky to have you. She thinks she's a 10, and you think you're worthless. So if you keep doing that, if you say I love you first, and you devalue your interest and your efforts and your inherent value with that woman from the jump, and you verbalize that, guess what? You're a fucking loser. So, anyways. Okay. Now you want to get into the details here. Now I'm done with the fucking Manosphere, inside the Manosphere. You guys want to ask me about that? That's fine. But you criticize when people say men need to do better, but say don't wish the game was easier, wish you were better. Yes. Is there a difference? Yes, there is. The thing is this: it's about expectations. Okay. So the reason why I criticize it when people say do better, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do better. Obviously, you need to be better. You need to. The way I talked about this in the past is like, remember when the WNBA first came out? Yep. And nobody wants to watch it even now. But like back then, they couldn't put asses in the seats, right? Because nobody wants to. The girls couldn't dunk.
They don't want to see subpar high school.
They could not dunk. And so what they were talking about is like, well, what if we lowered the baskets from 12 feet down to 10 feet or something, something like that? And then the girls can dunk. But what happens then? It's not basketball anymore. You've changed the nature of the game to fit the skill set of the players. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Now, of course, what happens is they, to their credit, at least they kept it at 12 and they just got some taller bitches to come out there that actually dunk, right? Or actually play the game a little bit better. But that's what I mean is you can't, and this is women complain about this shit all you complain. You want to talk about how men go, Rollo's just complaining all the time. Women complain about this. The number one most complaining sex is definitely women. Definitely women. So when you hear women complain about like how rough it is to be a woman, or I'm unpaid labor as a housewife and a mother, whatever value call that they can relate to you in whatever fashion, it's first of all it's a complaint, but then second of all it's they don't want to get better at what they do. They want the nature of, and they want you as a guy to change the game for them so they can play the game better. Men do not have that luxury. Men, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? That's the punch in the face, because the nature of the game is getting punched in the fucking face. And, when I've been criticized for saying this, but I'll say it again, is like men face rejection way, way more than women do. Whether it's business, whether it's in romantic relationships, whether it's in, for the military, whatever. There's so many things that guys want to be able to do, but they have to deal with rejection. In fact, that would be the number one thing. If I had to teach the youths of America, if you're going to use me as your role model, young men, learn how to deal with fucking rejection. Learn how to deal with that constructively. It's discontent is what it is. Learn how to deal with that constructively, creatively. Take it on the nose, come back and be better at it. So yes, so don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. That is, don't wish the game would change for you, become a better player of the fucking game, right? So, but the thing is like the reason why I criticize, it's usually pastors that are saying this, in the past I've said this, is that the only message that men get is do better when they want to minimize that guy's struggles, when they want to minimize that guy's achievements. So here's the dichotomy in all of this. If I say, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better, then there's the better part of that. Better never ends. It never ends. So what I do right now as Rollo Tomasi, I have to exceed myself as a result of this. And as a result, I become more than I have been. And I also want to point out this, and I was talking to Aaron Clary about this recently, is that it doesn't get simpler. It doesn't get easier. Life, even as I age, as I get into my late 50s right now, which I'm soon to be, thank you very much, on April 2nd. As I get into my latter 50s, things get more complex, man. There's more responsibilities. I got to get up earlier, man. I got to fucking walk the dogs. I got to get to the gym. I got to take care of this bullshit. You want to know what's driving me crazy about my health issues is that I can't fucking do the shit that I need to do. And I'm like, God damn it, I got to get to that. It's on my to-do list. Get shit done. And people are, well, you should relax. You don't have to do all that. You don't have to be everything to everybody. Blah, blah, blah. No, fuck you. I do. Take your ayahuasca and get the fuck out of my house, man.
The older I get, there's not enough time in the day.
Yes, it doesn't. And guys, if you're 25 years old, trust me, your life is not going to be simpler when you get to be 50 years old. It will be more complex. It layers on complexity as you go. So the best course of action that I can think of, my best practices, I'm not saying it's yours, is to get shit done. Learn how to thrive in the chaos. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Don't wish it were less, I wish it was less chaotic. What's that prayer? It's like, Lord, don't make my challenges easier. Just give me the strength to rise up and meet those challenges, right? It's like, no, you guys remember this. I actually have an intro for this. Do you guys remember the 13th Warrior?
Yes.
The movie 13th Warrior? Fucking great movie. I got to watch that again now. And they're coming off the boat. They were just coming off the boat, and like one of the guys, one of the Vikings throws to the Arab guy, throws him Antonio Banderas, throws him the sword, and he goes, "Here, you'll need this." And he throws the sword. It's this big ass fucking broadsword. And he's like, "I cannot lift this." And the guy's like, "Grow stronger." That's it. In a nutshell, that's fucking it. Grow stronger. That's what you have to do, right? But the problem is when that becomes a cope, right? So when you don't know what else to say, when guys don't know, isn't that badass? Now I want one of those and put on a fucking wall up here, right? We're looking at Viking broadswords right now. Those things are probably pretty heavy. I wonder find out how much one of those would weigh.
Like a replica or a real?
A real one.
Okay.
Yeah. How much would
It's like a Buster sword. All right, let me see.
How much would that weigh? I wonder. Grow stronger, man. Yeah. Well, so the idea, anyways, is I'm not necessarily saying criticizing. I'm just saying that ends up becoming a cope, right? Do better as a cope. It's usually when you have the Father's Day sermon. Like for women can do no wrong. For guys, you're a fuck up. Do better. That's what that means. Stop it. It doesn't mean do better. It means stop being a fuck up. Start doing the things that women want you to do. Do what I want you to do. Believe what I want you to believe. Go the direction that I want to. Be a servant leader, which emphasis on servant. How heavy is that?
It doesn't say exactly.
Damascus steel blade. Yeah, it's got to be like Perplexity would probably know. Let's see. That's why I theorize that guys like Louis hate guys like Jay Waller more than they hate the guys who force themselves on women. Yeah, they do, because they see it right in front of their face, black and white. How's he going to argue? Mike's right about that.
Oh, wow.
How do you argue with that? Oh, they're not too heavy.
Yeah,
6 pounds?
4 to 6 pounds.
Yeah, it's not too heavy until you're swinging it and
Exactly.
fucking around with it and trying to learn how to use it.
Yeah, but true two-handed combat swords rarely exceeded 3.2 kilograms, 7 pounds. Yeah.
7 pounds?
Excessive weight made them inefficient. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not talking like a freaking Lance Connect, big old,
I want the berserk guts.
Yeah, I'm just talking like a regular kind of like you could still use it one-handed if you had to. Yeah. Grow stronger. Of course, what does he do? He turns it into a scimitar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. That's why. Okay. Yeah, exactly. I think guys I wanted to also draw attention to this fact is that people kept saying, well, he was raised by a feminist mother, or saying, well, his dad was a fuck around. His dad was a player. And if you have read anything by me, you probably know the essay or the chapter in, I want to say it's in, so where did I put that? I think it's in Positive Masculinity. I think it's my third book. I have a theory, an art that I wrote an article about, and it's called Promise Keepers. And no, it's not the religious group Promise Keepers. I had a guy one time write into me once, and he said, hey, Rollo, I'm a 23-year-old guy, and I'm with a girl right now, and I want to break up with my girl, but I don't want to be like my dad. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And so he explained to me how his dad was this abusive fuck, and he was a raging alcoholic or whatever. He left my mom. He left us when I was a kid, and later on reconnected with him, and he's actually not an alcoholic, and he's not such a raging asshole after all. But mom, that was the impression he was given when he was a kid, right? But when he was about 13 years old, he literally made a promise to his mother and said, I will never be like my asshole dad. Mm-hmm. I will never cheat on my girlfriend or my wife. I will never leave her. I will never, I'll always protect my mother, and I'll always protect women because I don't want to be like dad. And so here he is, 23 years old, and now he has to break up with this chick. And he's conflicted because he's made a promise to his mom that he would never break up with a chick, that he would never leave a chick, he would never abandon a girl. I mean, the guy was just psychologically anguished over this. And so it was from there that I developed this concept anyways. It's called Promise Keepers. And so you have these guys, this generation of men, and you usually, I won't say Gen X, but it's certainly like millennials for sure, maybe to a lesser degree Gen Z, but they're just basically the guys who are gender loathing in the first place. They hate being guys because to be masculine, it's either something very bad, it's toxic, or else it's something that they don't understand, right? Because they're confused about it. They don't understand why it's a big deal, or I can just be whatever I want to be, right? I'm this way, and that's masculinity to me. I live my truth, right? It's the Oprah truth, right? But then they get into situations where they compare themselves to their fathers when they're an adult, and they get really conflicted about it. And suddenly dad's rationale to leave this chick or to do what he did doesn't seem like such a bad idea. We don't know what happened with Louis Theroux's father. Maybe he just didn't want to fuck his wife. Maybe he was in a sexless marriage. He said, fuck it, I'm out. Can't fucking deal with this. I would see that. I'm not going to say he's right and leaving the woman and fucking around, but maybe there was something that prompted him to that. Maybe there's something about male nature that could be learned from that experience. But no, we're going to just go with blinders on. Women are wonderful. That's the sociological, psychological, idea that women are above reproach. You could see that even in the misogyny articles that YouGov.uk threw out there. This is what we're all looking for. Women are above reproach. Anything that is any negative thing you can say about women, no matter how true that negative thing is, you're a misogynist. And I don't want to be a misogynist. I don't want to be like my dad. My dad was a misogynist. So what does he do? He ends up being this really weesh, pansy, fucking beta washout for the most part, right? It's just, yeah. And so yeah, I'm certain that guys like Jay Waller are, like how how tall Jay is?
Yeah, he's like
you see the height difference between those guys? Yeah. Theroux won't show his audience moments like what happened with James Fishback on FNF when he was pandering to the women and it backfired. Yeah, that is true. Just showing love. Thank you. No homo. Okay, you know what? Since no homo, you get one of these. You included no homo. No homo back at you, stripper. And then I personally believe you need to take over this space even more. Oh, but weren't you guys just calling me? What does Rollo be gatekeeping all the time? Well, make up your fucking minds. What do you want me to do? You want me to gatekeep? You want me not to gatekeep? Rollo, I think it's getting bad. It's getting a bad rep because the crazy podcast. Yes, they are. That's why I keep doing this. You know what? I've got, what am I at right now? 20. I'm almost at 2,100. This is a good show for us. Actually, 2,100 is fucking fantastic, right? This don't even bump the needle for those other alpha bro podcasts, right? I think it's, and why is that? Because I'm giving you like fucking sauce, man. I'm giving you research. I'm giving you data. I'm giving you fucking nuts and bolts stuff here. You don't want that. You know what? You don't want that. I mean, maybe you guys do. Maybe my guys do. My guys who love me actually do enjoy this and they benefit from this. And that's really what the Red Pill is about. It's about education. It's about equipping the next generation, right? It's about helping you develop the social skills that you didn't and understanding the dynamics that go behind them. Like people, when they look at like my book, like the Player's Handbook, they think, oh, Player's Handbook. Wait, I want to be a player? Yes, you are actually. You're going to understand why you're even being called a player in the first place. Women love players. Are you kidding? Guys that fuck, women love guys that fuck. Right? Absolutely love guys that fuck. They don't like guys that don't fuck. Louis Theroux is a guy that doesn't fuck. I mean, just look at the dude. Listen to the dude. This guy doesn't fuck. Andrew Tate fucks, right? Justin Waller most definitely fucks. I shudder to think maybe HS TikTok, he probably fucks. He looks like a kind of guy. He looks like the guy who fucks. Theroux doesn't look like a guy that fucks. Again, it goes back to the majority. Like there's a majority of men are beta. The overwhelming majority of men will not reproduce. They will not have kids.
You're not meeting Theroux and Ibiza.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Imagine this. You meet ladies, you meet HS TikTok. You're in Ibiza and one guy comes up to you and he looks like Theroux and in his thick Cockney accent, in his thick British accent is trying to lay some game on you. And then HS Tick, a guy who looks, I'm not saying those exact guys, but a guy looks like HS TikTok. Which one looks like the guy that you want to dance with and rock out with in the foam cannon party? Yep. Just saying. Like physiognomy is real. You know what physiognomy is? Physiognomy is like the way that you look. We have a certain impression and wonder what that guy's going to be like. Okay. It is absolutely 100% fucking factual truth. If a guy has eyes like this that are too close, he's a criminal. Beady eyes, man. If you look like Brittany Venti and your eyes are this far out on the side, it looks a little weird.
Flat screen TV for a forehead.
You probably know what you're getting with people who look like that, right? Ernest Borgnine, you know what he was. You got an impression of what he's going to be like, right? I'm trying to think of ugly dudes, fat dudes, right? Oh. Danny DeVito, Danny DeVito, and funny as fuck, but he has to be funny as fuck, right? But yeah, and then Henry Cavill, you know what you expect from a guy, not him in particular, but a guy that looks like that, right?
That's what Beverly Hills Cop is all based on.
Mm-hmm. Look, I love Myron. I found him through Kevin Samuels, but he's an easy target to push an agenda against. And yeah, and I worry, and I had a little bit of hope earlier this year when I was I should say it was in December when I was in the hospital. I actually had Myron text me when I was in the hospital. He didn't know I was in the hospital, so I had a lot of time to talk to him. He said, "Hey, we need to really start a Red Pill podcast. We need to a really nuts and bolts, a panel show or something like that. Like, why don't we just do Rule Zero?" Which I restarted and did like yesterday, as a matter of fact. So I would rather revive Rule Zero because I think it's already a pre-established, show. But he's not wrong. I think Myron wants to get back to really hardcore Red Pill topics. The problem is this: he would run into the same problem that I run into every fucking show, which is there's only a certain amount, there's only a certain audience for this. There's always going to be more kids who want to see him kick some random bitch off of the show. And I'm not saying that's the purpose of his show. I'm just saying it's NASCAR. You're watching NASCAR for the crash, not for who wins. You're watching it to see who crashes and who burns. That's the appeal of whatever podcast. That's the appeal of Fresh and Fit. It doesn't used to be, and I don't think that's the intent of it, but it is definitely a feature of it, and that's what guys are looking for. So you're always going to do better with red meat. I'll tell you the thing that gets me is like I can do this show, and I'm happy for my 2,088 viewers right now. I'm happy to have you here. Thank you. Subscribe to the channel, for fuck's sake. Please subscribe to the channel right now. Like the channel. It actually matters now. Sub to this whole crazy monkey show that I do. And tell your friends, do engaged comments, whatever it is. I don't care, whatever you got to do to help me support the show. Join my Patreon. There's all kinds of ways that you can help me out here. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why I have to even say that and hopefully get some good super chats here is because that's about the only way I continue doing what I'm doing. Myron knows this. Why did Myron pivot to the Zionist thing? Why did Myron pivot to social issues? Why did Myron pivot to politics? Or why does he have another show where he talks about his days when he was a Fed? Why? Well, because you got to diversify. You got to try to find new things. You got to find new ways to do stuff. I can't do that. I am the Red Pill. I mean, like I said before, we could go do our Space Marine 2 channel and stuff like that, and people would probably watch, but the first question we would get in the chat was like, how do I get my girlfriend back? Hang on, let me defeat this guy. Yeah, I'll tell you in just a second.
Well, this Tyrannid's pulling up.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I got to fight a lictor. Don't you see what I'm doing? But yeah, so whenever I go look for yourself, look at the views. When I do a show about hypergamy, I might get 14, 15,000 total views for that. Like it'll top out right around, let's just say 15, right? If I go and I talk shit about Michaela Peterson,
play the clip.
The first thing that will happen is you will say, that Rollo guy always gossips, right? But guess what? You look at the views, it's at 65,000 people watch that fucking show. Don't tell me you don't like that. You clearly, the people have fucking spoken, okay? You love that shit. If I go and I talk about how Lauren Southern and Destiny have possibly created a baby and there was possibly a fucking abortion, and I go and I say they are definitely fucking, and then they are proven to be definitely fucking, those shows are going to go through the fucking roof. And everybody knows that. I go and I do nuts and bolts stuff. It doesn't matter how many I do. And I'm not saying there's not an audience for it. There is, but that audience is substantially smaller than if I start talking shit about somebody on hell. I wasn't even talking shit about James Sexton. I just said, hey man, I think he's kind of fallen off a little bit. Shots fired. Oh my God, Rollo is fighting. It's like Morpheus and Neo are fighting. And it's like, that's what you want. And what happened? Big nothing burger. We just talked it out like guys, and I said, oh, is that where you're at? Okay, that's where you're at. Great. Thank you. My boy Myron went off the deep end talking about politics, race, and the juju beans. Juju beans. I'm
That's a new one.
stealing that. Those things are okay, but it's not really the Manosphere related. I don't think so either. And I'm a little skeptical of guys who want to say, well, the red pill's just about truth. Fuck you. Especially if you're one of those guys who knows that the red pill is really about intersexual dynamics. It's about the praxeology of intersexual dynamics. And if you're going to say, well, it's really whatever you want it to be, you might as well just say, I'm living my truth. Like, why don't you just go all the way, man? You'll get more people to watch. I'm living my truth. What's your truth? Zionists. Yeah. Okay. I hope again, it's that escalation that Mike was talking about. It's like, again, they really wanted Andrew Tate, but they got HS Tiki Taki. He's the Temu version of Andrew Tate. And not for nothing. I mean, the only way I even know who HS Tiki Taki is because he beat the fuck out of John Zark. I wouldn't have no idea who he is otherwise. Sneeko to be introduced, to be factored in as part of he's part of the Manosphere, but he is in no way red pill. He has no business being in that fucking thing, but they wanted him on there because he's going to get eyes on the screen. Hey, all the Twitch kids are going to come and go, hey, Sneeko's on the Netflix.
It's going to be performative for them.
That's what's going to happen. And they knew that. They knew going in that was going to be the deal. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Thank you. Wow. Coming in red and hot. Okay. Do you think the red pill going mainstream saved more men's lives or caused more damage? Oh, man. What a fucking question.
Unless we have data, but
I don't have the data.
Exactly.
I don't have the data. I can only go from what I know about my audience and people who send me comments. I can tell you right now, just yesterday, I had 2 people email me and say, thank you for what you're doing. And I think primarily because they knew I was like pissed off at this fucking this documentary, right? Because I've had men, husbands hand me handwritten notes from their wives who are the mothers of their boys, because a woman was so overcome with emotion and say she just wanted to thank me for like giving her boys back, because they were like, both of them are attached to like really bad women. They read my book and they changed course, right? I have had guys who have come up to me and say, I canceled my plans for self-deletion because I came across your stuff. And I've had that happen more than once. Shit, I've been walking through Red Rock Casino and had guys tell me that, right? It's nice to be able to it's nice to be appreciated, especially when I am online and I am doing promotion on social media constantly, and I got to read comment. I'm going to read comments in this show alone where people are going to go, fuck you, Rollo, you're old and irrelevant. Fuck you.
It's one of the most berated like YouTube content.
Yeah, exactly. Just by me being I am the red pill, right? Me being red pill, I'm gonna get shit, and I'm gonna get shit from both sides. I'm gonna get shit from feminists. I'm gonna get shit from angry bitches, angry Karens. Did you see the video game of the Karen?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's fucking genius, man. I almost wish I would have thought. Like, why didn't I could have thought of this. But no, I get so much hate all the time, and it's not like it's that much, but it's more apparent, right? So when I'm going to Babes in Toyland and I have guys come up and they want to they want to do a selfie with me, or they'll tell their girlfriends, hey, come over here. This is why we're together. This guy was right. Why we're together, right? Literally, I've had guys say that to me before. Like, if it wasn't for this guy, we wouldn't even be together, because I wouldn't know how to, how to game the chick like you, right? And that's another thing I think is a misnomer, is a lot of people think that the red pill is just about guys getting their dick wet and then measuring themselves by their notch count. I have more guys who want to find a girlfriend, who want monogamy like from the jump. They're not trying to like get a roster of chicks. They're not trying to spin plates. They want to learn how that they can just get a second fucking date. They want to know how they want to know how to get their first kiss or lose their V card, right? And they're 28 years old, 31 years old. Right? They're asking me, I don't know, I'm trying to explain to them, here's female nature and everything else, everything red pill that I can convey to them and help them and educate them and everything else. But I got to do it against this tide of people saying, oh, those guys are just about, fucking, meaningless sex and fuck as many girls as you can, and they measure their self-worth because they're insecure and they need to validate their egos and all this fucking therapy speak and all this Freudian bullshit and all this Jungian bullshit.
So hard to conflate it.
Because they don't, and they don't, it's so, it's mind-numbing. And I'm used to it right now. I'm like, I don't even think about it. Like, it's funny because my daughter works in PR, and she says, I don't know how you deal with so much hate all the time, right? And I'm like, it is what it is. I've been doing it for so long, but I'll tell you the thing. I'm at the point right now that if I meet somebody at the airport or if I'm at an event or something like that, and people go, Rollo, I love what you do. Keep doing what you're doing. I love you. You saved my life. My children have a father because of what I read from you. Or I'll get guys. I mean, to me, I don't know how to react to that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, thanks, man. Thanks for saying you're why I do this, right? I'll keep doing what I do, right? Whether I'm monetized or not, I'm still going to keep doing this no matter what the fuck whatever. But I did it for free back in the day, back when I was on So Suave. Mm-hmm. I did it for free because that was me. This is what I'm into. I never monetized my blog. I never made a dime off of anything until 2013 when I published the first book. Oh my God, he sells books. Says he's just here to sell a book. You know how long I was writing about what I wrote about before I published my first book, much less my sixth book? Yeah, it just gets undercut over and over. Yeah, and then thank you. Yes, I also save greyhounds. I'm the last of the clean livers.
Philanthropist.
Yes, I'm a philanthropist. Yes. So to answer your question, I understand why you would think that. I'm still going to say I think it has helped more men than it has harmed men. And the only way I can think of it I don't see how it could have harmed any man. Honestly, to be more aware, to be more self-aware, to have that. God, people are going to run me up for this one, but like the only evil is ignorance and the only good is knowledge. So if you're going to say, is it a net good or a net bad? Then it's a net good because you have more knowledge. You have more information. You have more accurate information. So even in light of all the Louis Theroux and all of the adolescent stuff and all the shit that's going down in the UK, I will come down on the side that it is still a net benefit for men and for women as well. Lord knows I've had enough women ripping off my material lately, right? But vaya con Dios, go forth. Take the red pill to the next level. Once I'm gone, I got to leave it to somebody. Mike's my heir apparent. Mike's going to be knife chief after I'm done, right? Yeah. You guys don't know about knife chief.
Knife chief.
You want a story? Here's a story. When Pat Campbell died, his girlfriend at the time, remember he was married too, but his girlfriend at the time, he was very estranged from his wife. I don't think enough people really realize that. I've been trying I didn't really talk about that much after his death because I just honor his memory and everything, but he had a girlfriend and she was Pawnee. She was American Indian, right? And Native American, how's that? And she was Pawnee. And one of the things she said that Pat wanted to give me before he passed was this knife. And it's a ceremonial Pawnee knife. And it's made from an elk horn. And then it has really sharpened obsidian on the end of it. And what it is the knife chief of the Pawnee used that to skin the bucks, to skin the deers, right? To dress a deer so that they could make clothing, whatever, out of the deer skin and to, cut the meat. But there was that knife, because that guy used the knife, he was called the knife chief. And so that knife passed into my possession when Pat passed. And so I've kind of this is stupid, I know, but I kind of look at it as sort of this, I don't know, badge of office, right? Or okay, I'm the guy who's in charge of the red pill. I'm the guy I'm the knife chief, right? Mm-hmm. And I had to explain this to Mike before I went into surgery because I'm like, if I don't come out of surgery, you're knife chief. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I had to explain it to him afterwards. And so if I pass away, if I get hit by a car today, the knife chief knife goes into Mike's hands because he's the only one that I trust being the next knife chief, right? Being able to carry on the message and everything else that goes with that. So that's, if I already mentioned knife chief, that's what I'm talking about. Here we go. Perhaps something similar to the Council of Trent may be necessary for the contributors of the Red Pill community. Here's the problem with that is I really wish we could have that consensus. We've tried that before. Donovan Sharp's tried that before. Like, we need to have this meeting of the tribes. Everybody needs to settle their differences and come and be united under one message. The problem is what happens is you become a brand showcase at that point. You become a brand showcase. Yes, I'm the knife chief adjacent. Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm not Red Pill Jesus. I'm knife chief. But yeah, it's. I was going to say is that it's gatekeeping, and I honestly agree with you. I think it does need, at least to some degree. I think the Red Pill does need some gatekeeping. At the very least, to say the Red Pill is about the praxeology of intersexual dynamics. If you can't say those words, if you can't utter those words, if the Red Pill is just the truth, that means you're selling an ideology. You're selling whatever your pet ideology is, and you're appropriating the term Red Pill to slap on to whatever you think everybody else should agree with you on. That's not what the Red Pill is. What the Red Pill is really is the intersexual dynamics, obviously. But the reason why we called it that in the beginning, or we used Matrix references, we still say unplugging from the Matrix, right? But the reason we did that is because all of these guys operated, average frustrated chumps, right? All these guys blue pill guys operated under the assumption that if they did these things that they were taught, if they did the things their church taught them, if they did the things mom and dad taught them, if they did the things that were taught to them in popular culture or through music or whatever was influencing them, that's the best way for them to deal with women, to respect women, and all the stuff that we kind of like use a Red Pill lens right now to say, whoa. Like when I'm talking about like how you can't listen to like 80s power ballads anymore because of the lyrics. That's what I'm getting into. When you can't watch an episode of Friends and go, holy shit, I can't believe people laughed at this, right? Or Mrs. Doubtfire is actually a horror movie and not a. And you've used that example before. The fact that you used to think it was a comedy and now you think it's a horror story, that's the Red Pill. You used to think that it was this way, and now you become aware. Now you have eaten from the fruit of the tree of knowledge, right? And you can't unsee. You can't take the lenses off. You can't unsee what you've seen. And that's what gets me is that these guys who are like say, oh, they want the guys who want to stick their head back in the sand after like, I rejected the Red Pill. No, you didn't. You're just ignoring what's right in front of your nose. You've chosen to be willfully ignorant. Or you've chosen to rationalize it away. But guess what? There's going to be something on your peripheral awareness. You're going to hear a story. Something's going to happen with your cousin. So your best friend got divorced. Those things. You're going to see something that happens. And guess what? That's the code in the Matrix. And you're going to see that. And I don't care how much denial you go into, you will not be able to unsee. You will not be able to unaware yourself from the Red Pill. So just fucking accept it. That's the best way I can say it. Cross that abyss. That's why guys get stuck in the anger phase, because they can't cross over, because they're still clinging to their old beliefs. They're still clinging to that blue pill paradigm. They're still clinging to the way, this is the way it should be. She should love me for who I am. She should love me for, unconditionally. She shouldn't want me for my money. She should want me for me. She shouldn't want me because she should want to fuck me no matter what I look like. Right? Because it's what's on the inside that counts and not what's on the outside that counts. Follow your heart. It will never lead you astray. That kind of shit. They really desperately want that to be true.
Men wanting to be loved like women.
That's why, exactly. They can't cross the abyss. And I'll tell you, the thing is you have more opportunities once you've crossed the abyss. You have more, it's more accurate. You can live a better life if you just cut that shit loose, man. And that's the difference. That's the difference between what the Red Pill is. And so if I'm saying this, and I don't think this is any like great revelation for people who certainly have been following me for at least the last 10 or so years. The thing is that what seems obvious to me right now doesn't seem obvious to a lot of guys who are still kind of stuck in their ways. And I've had to deal with haters on this stupid documentary who are like, these are guys who are like very committed to their ideology. They're very committed to their Christianity and family. We need to save the West. That's not Red Pill. West isn't the red pill doesn't care about saving the West. The red pill doesn't care about the Zionists or the what is it? What do we say? What was it? The jujubines. The red pill doesn't care about jujubines, right? They care. It's amoral, racial, religious. It has to stand apart from all of that because it's just data. What you do with that, how you interpret that, is up to you. Yes, but that's not the red pill. And not enough people really realize that. And again, going from being the blue pill way of thinking into this red pill way of thinking, it's exactly what Neo did in the movie, right? He went from believing one thing and then took the red pill, and now, holy shit, life is really fucked up.
Yeah.
Life is not what the Matrix was. The Matrix, hell, that's why Cypher wanted to be put back into the Matrix, right? Because ignorance is bliss. He wanted to go back he wanted to be important. He wanted to eat steak. He wanted to be rich and stuff like that. And he was willing to trade reality for being plugged back into the Matrix, right? The problem is you can't be plugged back into the Matrix because some part of you will still remember that shit. Some part of you will see the code in the Matrix. So once you've come across, and we'll say this right now, it's also part of the movie. Some people are just simply not ready for it. And that's why they fucking go into vapor lock, man. That's why they have a kernel panic when because they realize that all the shit that they thought was a goal can't be attained. Not the way that they thought it could. You can be, but it's just not the way that they thought it could because they're using a different rule set now. That's the red pill. Going from one belief set to another. It's not, I'm a Christian, so I'm red pill. Oh, I'm a Muslim, so I'm red pill. Oh, I'm a MAGA. I'm a whatever it is. Because red pill is what I say it is. Fuck you. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. That is not what the red pill is whatsoever. You know why I'm saying fuck you is because you get guys like Louis Theroux throwing out documentaries like The Manosphere because of that, because you let it slip. Because you weren't on guard, because you weren't fucking aware of it constantly. You weren't aware of the people who want to take you down and drag your ass down. And the easiest way they can do that is appeal to your need for fucking clout. And to appeal to your need, because he wasn't paying any of these guys. It wasn't the money. It was your need for clout. And thinking that clout is going to translate into new viewers, to translate into like no press is good press or bad press is good press. I don't know if I necessarily agree with what Mike was saying about HS Tiki-Taki making more money off of this than Louis Theroux in the long term. I can understand why he would want that to be the case. I don't think he's necessarily going to lose anything as a result of that because it's here today and gone tomorrow. People don't care. Like the internet never forgets, but people's attention span is short as fuck, right? And we won't be talking about this next week. We won't be talking about this on Wednesday because people won't care. But I'll tell you who does care right now is the people who want to shit all over the Manosphere. Take their names, write it in the great big book of everything. Know your fucking enemies because these are the guys who want to take you down. Whether it's through clout or it's through clicks or it's through whatever, they're going to try to appropriate the red pill. They're going to try to tell you they're going to straw man you and straw man me and straw man the Manosphere as much as they can because they are afraid of one fundamental truth is that if guys get together, they are scared shitless of that. They are scared shitless of men organizing.
Digital footprints that cracks.
Yeah. I'm going to end up putting this into an essay at some point, but I read this book, a really great book, and I've mentioned it before here. It's called Alpha God. It's by Dr. Hector Garcia, and one of the examples or one of the stories he tells in this book is how I want to say it was the Catholics or the Jesuit priests that came across the ocean to Mesoamerica. Like they came. That's how Mexicans got buried. That's how you became a Mexican. Is the Spanish came over. And they came in through Central America and they came into what was known as Mesoamerica, right? Yeah. And of course, they ended up killing off all of the natives, right? Because they could and took their gold and gave them, I don't know, chicken pox or whatever the fuck it was.
Took the neighboring tribe.
Because they could. You know what's funny is like you listen to fucking Billie Eilish talk about they stole this land. It's like no, they were conquered. Nobody talks about how the Native Americans in Mesoamerica, they were conquered too, not by white guys, but by dark Spanish guys that came over here and fucked them up, right? Nobody has a problem with that because nobody wants that territory. They don't want to go and kick out the drug cartels because they are, colonists, right? No. But the thing is that when they came across, the first thing, once they had sort of subdued the native tribes there, I mean, they weren't stupid. They wanted to fuck the chicks that were there. They wanted the women there.
Oh, yeah.
But to control and to devastate that culture, the first thing they did was they emasculated the men. They emasculated to the point where they would either like cut their dicks off, they would be eunuchs, or they would, and that wasn't enough. They would encourage feminine traits in the men. The guys who were no threat, the less muscular guys, the less alpha guys, they would encourage them to wear makeup. They would feminize the men so that the women of that culture found the Spaniards to be more attractive and a better mate choice than their native men that were there, and that was done by design. And you can see something like that being played out on a global scale right now. That's why the only time I said this on Dr. Phil, but the only time we celebrate masculinity is when it looks like femininity. It's when The Rock dresses up in a tutu, right? It's when a guy puts on makeup. That's, oh, look, he's secure in his masculinity. How do we know? He's wearing mascara. No, he's feminizing himself. I brought this up. I should have brought it up when Mike was here, but like Richard Reeves was talking about, like what's toxic masculinity. Okay, well, we can name off all of these traits that we think are toxically masculine, right? Okay, well, what's positive masculinity? What's non-toxic masculinity? And every trait that he could come up with was being female, a feminine trait. So to be the most non-toxic man you possibly could be, you got to be female. What do you got to do? Put on lipstick, put on mascara, feminize the boys, teach them a default respect for the women, let them know that the women have control, have dominion over them, and keep up that. So that the men, our guys are the ones that the women want to reproduce with. Right? That's where we're at right now. So you're certainly there in the UK. I can tell you that right now.
Structure.
So what happens when an Andrew Tate character comes along, right? They're going to demonize that. That guy's the boogeyman, right? Yeah. Well, this is what we're against. Andrew Tate finally gave the woke what they wanted, which is a face to hate. You remember in 1984 when you had the 1 minute of hate or hour of hate, whatever the fuck it was, and they put the guy's picture on there. That's Andrew Tate. Put him on there. And then we're done. We're taught to hate that person. And why are we taught to hate them? Because he represents a threat to a way of life. What is that way of life? It's the wokesy, feminized way of life. We have to condition our boys. We have to socially engineer them, because if we didn't, if left to their own devices, those boys would be much more attracted to a positively masculine, conventionally masculine guy. And so I'm going to leave you guys with this. I'm going to read the rest of these super chats here in just a second, but I'm going to leave you guys with this. For every person who's going to come in here and they're going to criticize this podcast and they're going to criticize any take that I have that in any way like shits on this fucking documentary, anybody who has a problem with me or anybody who's saying that, oh, I'm glad we have this Manosphere documentary because now we can expose these frauds for what they are. Now we can say, oh, I shudder to think that my boys would follow anyone that's like Justin Waller. I shudder to think that they would actually emulate the ways of HS Tiki-Taki of all people, right? They're worried that their boys might actually be some way attracted to it. Why would they be attracted to it in the first place? If there wasn't a natural inclination for those boys to be attracted to something, to learn to be more conventionally masculine. You don't want masculine boys. You don't want masculine men because it's a threat to your power base. Just like the Jesuit priests that came over and feminized and gelded basically the male population. This is your form of gelding. Oh, those guys don't respect women. Gelding. Oh, those guys are misogynists and they want to own women. Gelding. So I ask you guys this. If you don't want HS Tiki-Taki or Andrew Tate or anybody, you think that they're horrible examples of masculinity, Who else who do you want them to look up to? Tell me who is a good example. Tell me who would be a good masculine role model that you would want your sons, your nephews, whatever, the young men of today, of the UK or wherever the fuck you're from. Give me an example of who you think they should use as a role model of positive masculinity. You won't give me one fucking example. Louis Theroux, do you want your boys to end up like, to look like that and to talk like that and to act like that when they get to be? Is that a good example? They won't even tell you that. Oh, I want my boys to grow up to be the next Louis Theroux. Nobody is saying that. Literally nobody is saying that. And at the same time, we'll have women crying about, how come men won't man up? How come they won't ask me out on a date? Scott Galloway, oh yeah, God knows what, 69, 80% of guys between the ages of 18 and 29 haven't even asked a girl out. So you want them to ask them out. Sounds like toxic masculinity to me. Well, okay, where's the line? How should they ask you out? Show me the examples of non-misogyny. I posted that list not too long ago or last week where we were talking about what the YouGov, like YouGov.uk posted. Like, these are the things that we look for that are signs and indicators of misogynistic thought. So you're policing my thoughts. That's what it is. So if that's the case, what's the opposite? What would be good masculinity? What do you want the boys to think? You're going to socially re-engineer them. You're going to brainwash the next generation of young men between 5 years old and 13 years old, whatever. What do you want them to watch? What do you think is a good example? I guarantee you no one can give you an example of that. No one will be able to tell you that. Not definitively, that's for damn sure. I want my boys to respect women. Okay, that's very ambiguous. How do you want them to respect them? What form of respect do you want to, are we going to say is the one? They want a feminized society. That's that's the end result of feminism, and that's the end result of wokeism or whatever the fuck Louis Theroux is. That's the end result. That was the purpose of this documentary. The purpose is to feminize men. The purpose is to ridicule guys who might in some way buck a trend. The purpose is to delegitimize and ridicule and make fun of the straw man that they think the manosphere is. That's the purpose. It is to geld generations of men. That's what it's for. And every time you go to the ballot box, every time you listen to a politician talk about this shit, every time you listen to a pastor in your fucking your church or wherever the fuck you are, every time you hear that message, the point of that message is to feminize you and to geld the next generation of guys. And at the same time, complain that we don't have strong men, and to complain that we don't have servant leaders, and to complain that we don't have guys who are willing to actually go up to a woman and actually start a conversation. That's the point. That's why Scott Galloway is not a good player in all of this. That's why Richard Reeves can raise awareness all he wants. He has no plan. At least he's asking the right questions. At least he's asking, like what does positive masculinity look like? Femininity. Well, at what point? Mike's right about this. At what point is Richard Reeves going to go, yeah, those red pill guys got it right? At what point is he going to say, yeah, you might have a point. I see what they're trying to do. Who else is doing anything? Sneeko doesn't have a men's group. HS Tiki Taki, I don't know what the fuck that guy's doing. And that's the thing is, like, I have a plan. I have Reignite. I work with guys on a weekly basis. By the way, if you want to go to the Miami meetup, it's coming up. I put the link. Oh, I put Cultivate Crypto. Your brother's Cultivate Crypto course is coming up. I'm going to be doing a show with your brother here in a little while. But the Miami fishing trip is coming up. We have it booked. It's already ready to go. It's going to be on May 14th. I have 3 slots left. I have 3 slots left. Harold said you want to go. So I got 3 slots left on the boat if you want to go. If you want to go to that, hit me up. I will give you the maybe I put it in there. Oh, I did already put it. It's in the description. So if you want to sign up, it is $9.97 for the boat trip. So if you want to come out and just do the boat trip, you can do that. That's the deep sea fishing trip with the rest of the guys in Reignite. If you want to go to the whole weekend, that's a whole nother package. And just hit me up or hit up Joe Marone. Joe and I are going to be doing a podcast on Tuesday, a Reignite podcast on Tuesday. It's going to be Q&A. It's going to be all nuts and bolts. It's going to be, we're going to do problem solving because no one else is fucking doing that. I am. Now Mike is too. No one else is doing that. No one else has a plan. No one else has some sort of way forward. No one else is doing what we're doing. This is why that, like, people are saying, well, Rollo, why do you care so much about this shit? Why do you care about fucking the Manosphere? Like, oh, is it because you're irrelevant? Well, no, it's not whatsoever. You know what it is? It's because I don't want guys to put a gun in their mouth. I don't want men to put a noose around their necks because they didn't have access to this information because of fucking Manosphere documentaries that shit all over what they think is the Manosphere, because of adolescence, because people want to throw out, oh, those red pill guys, those misogynist guys, all they do is just have, OnlyFans girls on their shows. No, we do way more than that, but you don't care to know about those things. And what kills me is that one person might not get the information because they go, well, I watched that Manosphere thing and I don't really think they have any answers. So it's hopeless. I'm going to end it all. Goodbye. That you're literally becoming an obstacle for men to get the help that they actually need. Thanks for putting that up there, Sammy. Can't Myron do both Rule Zero and currently shows? He's invited everybody. You're invited to come on. I already told him he can come on Rule Zero anytime he wants to. He's just not awake when we do it. Your brother had to spend all night waiting for us to go on. Yeah. Myron's more than welcome to come back anytime he'd like. That's right. Get him, Rollo. Belt to booty time. Belt to booty time. Oh man. Belt to booty time. Time to woodshed. Come take your ass to the woodshed. Hi. You often compare red pill with the 5 stages of grief. Yes. What if we get stuck in one of the stages? How do we go over to the next stage? You get over your fucking self. The only stage that guys really truly get stuck in is the anger phase. I think it's like people will go through denial. And that lasts for a while, but after a while, you're kind of like, you see enough counter examples to crush your denial, and you go, all right, I guess those guys are right. I guess I'll wear the top hat and the black nail polish and the feather boa. Guys, this is what I have to wear. Now, the anger phase is really the only one that people really get super stuck in, because once you get past that, once you get to the acceptance phase, right? There's the denial phase, the anger phase. I'm trying to think of the other phases. They're basically the same phases as the phase of grief, right? Like you're coming to terms with your own mortality. That's why I paired that up with that, because you're essentially mourning the death of who you used to be. Your blue pill personality, the person that was stuck in the matrix, that guy's dead. And there ain't no going back to that guy. So you're going to be mourning that guy. You're going to be mourning that lifestyle. You go, oh my God, I'll never be able to do the things that I was told that I would be able to do because they were all based on lies. Oh, but guess what? Now I'm red pill and I have a much better outlook on life going forward. I'm the one that actually gets to decide what my goals are, not other people. It's like that part in the Matrix. I told you this all the time. Remember when Neo is going back through, like he goes back into the Matrix to meet the Oracle for the first time, and he passes that place where he ate the noodles. He's like, oh man, I remember that place. They had really good noodles. And then he says to Trinity, he says, I have all these memories of my life from when I was in the Matrix, and now I know that none of them were real. Right? And he says, what does that mean? And she says, it means that the Matrix can't tell you who you are anymore. That's where I want you guys to get to, where the Matrix can't tell you who you are and what you want to be. That's why I always say it's not about prescriptions. I don't want the Matrix to tell you who you are anymore. I don't want me to tell you who you should be, much less any of these sons of bitches who are on the mighty man of God shit, right? All these guys who are throwing out this tradcon, pablum that's been going on forever that hasn't been successful for them, and it's not been successful it won't be successful in the future.
That's why it's a proxyology.
Because they don't have accurate information. Some of it might be accurate, but they don't have accurate information. And they're essentially selling you the plan to become them. They want to tell you who you should be. Anybody who tells you that, including myself, tell me to go fuck myself. Really? Wake up in the morning with a stiff dick and a stiff middle finger to the world, man. You are the one who gets to decide who you get to be. And it's liberating, man. That's freedom. That's exactly what Mike was just saying, man. I'm not beholden to an audience. I am not beholden to a narrative. I am not beholden to the Matrix anymore. You can't tell me who to be. Rollo, take that beanie off. Fuck you. I'm going to be this way. You know, like, Rollo, how come you dress in t-shirts all the time? How come you don't dress like Dr. Peterson and put on a tie and everything, look professorial? Fuck you. I'm going to do what I want to do. He plays in a band. Imagine being in a band at his age. Yeah. Imagine is all you're ever going to be able to do. Because I am not going to allow you to tell. If my dad couldn't tell me to do this shit, you think some random guy on the fucking who in a comment is going to tell me what to do? Fuck off. And I expect my guys, whoever you are, who are learning this stuff, who've been emancipated from this shit. That's all the red pill, from blue pill to red pill. All that is emancipation. You're cut free, man. And that is fucking great. It's exciting, man. I want to see what you do with it. That's a cause for celebration, man. I've always said that, we talk about like how we don't have like rites of passage anymore. And we don't like from boy to man or something like that. We need to have some kind of rites of passage for guys who like wake up. Like they're like, oh man, I can't believe I used to laugh at Friends. Like that guy, we need some sort of like marker in your, like a tattoo him or some shit like that. I don't know what. There needs to be some kind of ritual or marker for guys who have left that old blue pill paradigm and have moved into a much better paradigm. Very much like being born again. Very much like the rise of, it's a common human theme, right? The phoenix rises from the ashes.
Got to have our own baptism.
You have your own. Yeah, exactly. There has to be some way that maybe you do it yourself. I don't know. There has to be some sort of marker, some sort of delineation that reminds you that you used to be this fucked up blue pill schmuck. And now you can see that. Like one of the reasons why, like I see that guy who's like the religious guy who's talking about how great his wife was and how much of a piece of shit he is. That bugs me so much because I know that guy's stuck. It's not even so much the message. I get it. I know why he's doing it. It's not that. It's he's fucking chained to his blue pill way of thinking, and most likely will live the rest of his life in those chains. He will be a slave. You are a slave, Neo. One fundamental truth. You are a slave. What if I told you?
Alice in Chains.
Yes. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. I rattled on way too long. All right. Yes, thank you. Oh, even better. Let's go out with a scripture here. God shall take away the part of the book of life and out of the holy city and from things which are written within his book. Thank you. Book of Revelations. Dude, you know what I've been watching?
What?
Paradise. Have you seen Paradise on Hulu?
Nah.
It's actually pretty fucking good.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't ruin it for you because it's only in its like second season right now, but it's actually a pretty good show. It shocked me at first, but now I kind of get it. And man, so I mean, it's like a disaster thing, right? It's like an end of the world scenario, like nuclear holocaust kind of thing, which is pretty much, standard fare these days. But they do it differently. And I hadn't thought about how they do it differently and what triggers the nuclear assault. And it's environmental. It's not like governmental. It's some pretty fucking heavy shit because I looked it up to see if it's possible. And it's like, it is absolutely possible that could happen. But yeah, pretty crazy shit. But it's not in the book of Revelation, so it won't happen. Okay, guys. So that's it. Anyways, Reignite the program. If you are interested in our weekly calls, all you got to do is go to my Patreon, which is down in the description there, and sign up for the $200 level or the $200 tier. It is now the Reignite tier. I renamed it. It's the Reignite tier. If you sign up, it's $200 a month, but you get 4 weekly calls. They are on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we have since I did this, we have a really good growing group. So you don't have to be a member of Reignite you just have to sign up for my Patreon, right? You don't have to be a Reignite member to get in on these calls. So if you want to talk, if you want to pick my brain, if you want to tell me, fuck you, Rollo, whatever you want to do, You just sign up on my Patreon for the $200 level, and you're in for every call. I give you the link probably about 20 minutes before we actually go on for the Zoom call. It's very beneficial, and we're actually doing something. We're moving guys forward. We give a flying fuck about guys, right? It's not just, well, it is about getting your dick wet, but it's not just about getting your dick wet, right? We're going to have the Miami meetup, which is going to be our first of a couple of big ones that we're having, our big meetups. The next one will be in August in Las Vegas, but this one is going to be the Miami White Party for the Babes in Toyland event that's coming up. That will be on the 16th of May. On the 14th of May, which is a Thursday, that is going to be our deep sea fishing trip. And then from that week, I will be there from the 12th to the 18th. All throughout that week, we'll be having meetups. We'll be having cigar smokes. We'll be going to restaurants. We'll be going to clubs. We'll be having like sit downs and round table talks with all the guys that are there. We had a good turnout last year, and we have more interest in it this year. So there you go. So if you're interested in doing that, that'd be great. Oh, what do we get? We got a late one. Hang on. Yeah, gotta give you this.
What are you gonna do about it? I'll suck his dick.
There you go. Thank you for rational, analytical contribution to the red pill. When I discovered the red pill in 2020, going from roommates to fresh and fit, the roommates, oh boy, Hafiz, and then found you on FNF. It all makes sense. Thank you for unplugging. Bravo to you, my friend. That was actually the key I was looking for. Okay, guys, thank you for watching. Also, if you haven't stopped and liked the show, please do. If you want to subscribe, please subscribe to it helps. Subscriptions actually help out for what I'm doing right here. And that is that. Also, pick up The Rational Male on Amazon. If you want to listen to it, it's available on Audible. It's going to be soon available on hardback. If you want to get the Reignite book is a much more comprehensive way to sort of give you a way forward from being zeroed out. I've talked about this on several occasions. If you have more questions about that, you can always get me online. Get me on Twitter. Get me on Twitter. Everybody hates me there, so I will respond. And then I picked all of my books are available on Amazon. Go get them today. I will see you guys next week. My surgery is not until the 24th, so we're good for another week. Sure. And but I will let you guys know what my availability and my mobility is after that. I should be good to go after this, and I fucking can't wait to get shit done. That's what I'm leaving you with. GSD. Get shit done. Okay. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
I want to cast magic missile.
I need to feel you on top of me. It was my first time. Perfect. But I was just a kid when we met and went to bed.
Good day, sir.
It was my first time. What do you expect from me? I'm breaking up the rules now in the game. I've got some new tools. Please do the same. Time came by and went over like a matchbox. Time to get my thoughts now, let it go. Bound to keep me up all night. But maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Can I tell you, baby, one more again? Won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know if maybe we can fuck again, then maybe things are different. Gotcha, bitch. One more again. Best in my life.
Tell these bitches to go to hell.
Now we're fucking in the bathroom, tearing up everywhere while I got your hair. Why you screaming my name?
That's nasty. It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty? Ugh.
She was swinging in the bedroom, whole time stopping and slipping with her hair like she's Claudia Kelly.
Well, I'm a whore.
Want me? Ride me up and down like a pony. Turning up my song, getting messy. Working up and down on your body.
to the bathroom battery after.
He's not a Christian!
The preceding podcast has been a production of The Rational Male. All rights reserved. Registered trademark 2026. And don't steal my stuff.
Oh, those guys are back!
Bye, Felicia.
Emotional damage.
You've stolen my dreams.
We say to give a woman vote is like to let a monkey fly a plane.